Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will call to order the City Council meeting for October 28th, 2025, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Beck, can we do a roll call, please?
Mayor Monget,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wong,
Hello.
hello, Councilor Barnes,
Good evening.
Councilor Friedland,
Here.
Councilor Gallegos,
Good evening.
Councilor Sampson,
Good evening.
and Councilor Tapia Vega.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. All right, we'll begin tonight's meeting with public input. This is your opportunity to address the council on any topics. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. If you wish to speak, please make sure that you fill out one of these speaker forms that you can access through the glass doors in the back. You can pass it over to Clerk Beck and we'll get you on the list. You may also call in as well. Please state your name and address before you speak as well, so we have that for the record. Tonight we'll begin with Thomas Glenn.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks again for your time. I'm returning on the same topic as before, which is basically the flight school noise coming out of Rocky Mountain Airport down in Jefferson County. I wanted to kind of display something. You probably can't see it well with the small piece of paper, but the yellow lines on this piece of paper are basically flights over Lafayette over a 10-minute period. And this was on October 8th from 8:40 in the morning to 8:50 in the morning. And essentially 10 flights flying over Lafayette based upon the FAA change in the flight path, having all the return flights going over 287 down to Jefferson County Airport. So I just want to let the rest of the audience take a quick look at this. So this is the issue. We got noise over Lafayette. We got flight schools bombarding our city, our county, our citizens with the flight noise. And essentially, we need to take proactive measures to try to get this to stop. We're affecting our children. We got 3 schools right in that flight zone. We got the elementary school, we got the middle school, and we got the high school that are getting hit with that. We got the citizens, and we also have the wildlife. Last time I was here, I submitted a picture of an eagle on a power pole with a plane right above it. We got osprey. I've been over at Wanaka Lake. They're hovering above, trying to do some fishing, and the planes are coming through, and then the osprey disperse when we got these airplanes coming overhead. There's other wildlife that are impacted as well. And that's not to mention the impact to the recreational and open space users when we have constant noise going over the city. This is not a one-off picture. This is happening, if not daily, very frequently as far as Lafayette getting hit with the noise. So I know there's an election coming up. There'll be some new members, maybe some measures and other things that are going to be following in sequence. As that goes, there's probably a few things going on at this time. And so I'm, again, asking for action. Don't let the subject fall off the radar. We want to keep on top of it. We got to act now and not wait until further down the road, because the longer this trend goes on, the harder it's going to get adjusted, both with the FAA, Jefferson County, and the public entities involved in the situation. The other thing, if you haven't seen it already, there was a news story by CBS News where they had Boulder County as one of the most dangerous airspaces in the whole country, okay? And that's because we have all these airports within the county, flight schools, planes flying in between the flight schools, and just last week, crash at Erie, during some of that heavy wind days. 2 people died. They were practicing their touch and goes in the windy conditions. And so again, it's just a matter of time before one of those ends up at the wrong place at the wrong time and hurts more people on the ground. So that's all I have for now. I appreciate your time. Thank you. And everybody, please speak up if you are concerned with the issue. More representation is welcome. So thank you.
Of course, thank you so much. Okay, next up we have Karen Norbeck.
Karen Norbeck, 800 East Geneseo. Good evening. In April of 2023, I stood here to speak about former City Administrator Fritz Sprague at his last meeting. Councilor Briggs was there on the dais, as were some of you. I want to come back and talk about him again after learning of his passing. I pulled out what I read back then and realized with a little editing it still applied, so I'm going to read it again. When former City Administrator Gary Klepacki left after 20 years, I was worried. A new City Administrator for Lafayette, some totally new person running our city, this was not good. Then came the long wait as council hired a company to do a nationwide search and do all the behind-the-scenes work until there were 2 candidates that were introduced to the public during a Q&A with the council. I sat in my usual seat at the back of the room as the first candidate came out. I was not impressed. Then Fritz walked out. Halfway through the interview, I whispered to Vicki Euland, he's the one. He's head and shoulders the better candidate. I remember I made a heart with my hands to some of the councilors when we were leaving the building. I went to the public meet and greet at the golf course clubhouse and got to chat with him for a while. We were supposed to fill out some type of form and turn it in, giving our feedback on the candidates. I didn't do that. I just went to the councilors in the room and said, it's Fritz. That's my feedback. Pick Fritz. And luckily for Lafayette, that's what happened. The city administrator has a complex job that covers all aspects of running a city. They need to be able to manage people, understand finances, planning, and land use. They have to be tuned into the essence of the city they run, be prepared to have a new council every 2 years, and respond to residents' concerns. But beyond all of that, they must have the type of personality that fits the town. Fritz had that in abundance. Just talking to him for a short time, and it shone through. Because he brought all those skills to the table along with his personal style, he was able to change our relationship with Erie and craft a global agreement with them, something that didn't seem possible. He finished what Gary started by adding the Wanaka Centennial Farm to our open space portfolio, along with acres of farmland and the Lowe's property. He had to handle the pandemic and the cyber attack, all while working to make changes to the staff by hiring new department heads and creating new positions. Let's not forget the discovery of what he called the smoking deal developers had due to our cash in lieu water rates and the work done to change that. During all this, a comprehensive plan update was happening. Early on, I knew I could contact Fritz with concerns and issues, and he would take the time to listen and discuss them with me. That never wavered, and I was always so grateful for that. I got some laughs when I said at that meeting that the best thing he did was to get new chairs for those of us who spent a lot of time sitting in this chamber. All kidding aside, though, he was a perfect hire at the right time, and the council that made that decision still deserves our thanks. Fritz brought our city many steps forwards, and I still miss him. I watched closely and saw the transformation in real time. What he did made the Lafayette I love an even better place. I finished speaking that night with one final request. Could he please leave a note in his office telling the next person to just do whatever Karen wants? And with a laugh, he said, okay. I wasn't surprised to find out later he did exactly that. Katie, we need to talk about this later. We stayed in touch, and he would send me updates on how he was doing and photographs. I have one of him and his husband Scott at a Broadway performance of Chicago. My last memory of seeing him in person is a great one. Sitting in the Red Queen last year, drinking tea, talking about the city and the trips they were taking. The world just lost a special person, and my heart goes out to Scott, his family, friends, and those on our city staff who worked closely with him. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Ignacio Perez.
Hi everyone, my name is Ignacio Perez. I live on 211 East Emma Street. Good evening, council members. Thank you so much for the time to meet with us tonight and for allowing us to share this opportunity with you all. Like I said, my name is Ignacio Perez, and I serve as the Director for Lafayette Communities that Care, or as many people know it, Lafayette CTC. Lafayette CTC was founded in 2016, when I first joined, to empower community members to identify and implement strategies to prevent substance use among Lafayette youth and make every youth in our community have access to resources, support, and advocacy needed for them to thrive. What makes Lafayette CTC unique is that we don't identify solutions for youth, we identify solutions with youth. And I have a few of those youth here tonight, you can raise your hand. Awesome. And some of our coalition members as well. We meet once a month, always over dinner, and through subcommittees as needed. We have a key leader board, which includes trusted local partners, our previous chief of police, Chief Basher, and hopefully our interim chief as well, Sister Carmen CEO Suzanne Crawford, and local school administrators. Past members include former Mayor Pro Tem Gustavo Reyna and council members Chelsea Baena, who've helped guide our coalition systems level approach. Since its inception, Boulder County Public Health has served as our backbone agency, employing our staff, managing our finances, and contracting with the state through the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, otherwise known as CDPHE. However, the current structure is set to end June of 2026, when the new Elevating Prevention in Colorado, or EPIC, program begins. So, why are we here tonight? The EPIC grant is a 5-year, $410,000 per year opportunity from the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. It's designed to help communities like Lafayette build coordinated prevention systems to address youth mental health, family connection, and substance use. To be eligible, each community needs an administrative backbone, an organization or local government entity that can hold the grant in contact with the state. We originally approached Sister Carmen Community Center to explore that role. Sister Carmen strongly supported our coalition in applying for this grant, but unfortunately were unable to take on the opportunity because they were responding to SNAP funding cuts and the growing demand for direct relief services. That is why we're here tonight, to ask that City Council and that City of Lafayette serve as our backbone and official applicant for this grant. We understand that this is a last-minute request, but that's only because we had to pivot from Sister Carmen's decision. We're passionate about this work, and we simply need the city to give us a chance. And for you all to believe in the coalition and the youth and families who thrive in it. So, here's what this partnership looks like. The City of Lafayette would be listed as the official applicant and backbone for this organization. The city would complete a one-time financial risk assessment, sign the contract with CDPHE if the grant were to be awarded, and receive 50% of that indirect rate, roughly about $61,500 per year, to cover any administrative overhead. Bridges of Opportunity, led by the director, Andy McCullough, a trusted local nonprofit, would handle all day-to-day fiscal and administrative work, including reimbursements, payroll, accounting, and compliance. They would also serve as my direct administrative supervisor, ensuring fiscal accountability and compliance with CDPHE. Lafayette CTC would continue to lead all programmatic work, building partnerships, running youth initiatives, and measuring outcomes. In short, the city holds the grant, Bridges of Opportunity manages the work, and CTC, our coalition, delivers the impact. This structure ensures full transparency and strong oversight while keeping the workload manageable and minimal for the City of Lafayette. In order to make this happen, we would propose a light touch accountability plan, 30 to 45-minute monthly or bi-monthly check-ins with Bridges of Opportunity and I, quarterly one-pager financial snapshots from Bridges of Opportunity summarizing funds and how they're spent and the reimbursement process, and then one annual review to present impact data, financial updates, and evaluation findings to City Council. This gives the city visibility without any administrative burden. Through this grant, we would implement 2 complementary programs that strengthen families and youth. Number 1, the Strengthening Families Program, an evidence-based model that helps parents and youth build communication, trust, and resilience. Number 2, our locally created Espacios para Jóvenes, a youth-driven program that builds belonging, leadership, and pro-social connection, especially for underrepresented and underserved youth in our community. Together, they will create a 2-generation prevention approach that supports both young people and their families. We will track outcomes using data from the Healthy Kids Colorado survey, attendance metrics, and coalition-designed surveys along with required programming tracking measures. We're proud to work alongside trusted community partners. I know I have 1 second left, but thank you all so much for your time. Again, we are deeply rooted in Lafayette. We want this to stay in Lafayette. Thank you all so much for your consideration.
Of course. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. Well, that is all the speaker forms that I'm seeing for tonight. I'm also not seeing any callers online. Are there any other members in person that wish to speak during this time? Okay. All right, seeing none and seeing no callers online either, I will close public input. And just so you all are aware, those of you that are new to our city council meetings, although we don't do Q&A during public comment, if you wish to hear a response from your comments, you may wait till the very end of the meeting during council comments when we bring it up, or you may have a member of staff or the city council reach out to you at a later point. Otherwise, we have other business to take care of tonight, so you're more than welcome to stick around for that or head out at any point that you wish. Thank you. All right, moving forward to the consent agenda. We have several items, including item A, October 14, 2025 City Council meeting minutes. Item B, resolution number 2025-72, approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Lafayette Urban Renewal Authority. Item C, contract with Johnson, Miriam, and Thompson Incorporated, water and wastewater comprehensive plan update. Item D, change order number 6, OTAC Incorporated, South Boulder Road Multimodal Improvement Project, construction management and inspection services. Item E, motion to approve a cooperative agreement with Lafayette Urban Renewal Authority regarding the 7800 block of South Public Road streetscape improvements. Item F, motion to approve a cooperative agreement with Lafayette Urban Renewal Authority regarding the South Boulder Road revitalization area. And that's all. Any items that council would like to pull, please? Nope.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on that. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, on to proclamations for tonight. We have one proclamation. This is item G, Extra Mile Day for November 1st, 2025. Councilor Gallegos.
Whereas the City of Lafayette is a community that acknowledges that a special vibrancy exists within the entire community when its individual residents collectively go the extra mile in personal effort, volunteerism, and service. And whereas the City of Lafayette is a community that encourages its residents to maximize their personal contributions to the community by giving of themselves wholeheartedly and with total effort, commitment, and conviction to their individual ambitions, family, friends, and community. And whereas the City of Lafayette is a community that chooses to shine a light on and celebrate individuals and organizations within its community who go the extra mile in order to make a difference and lift up fellow members of their community. And whereas the City of Lafayette acknowledges the mission of Extra Mile America to create 550 extra mile cities in America, and is proud to support Extra Mile Day on November 1st, 2025. Now therefore, the Mayor and City Council of the City of Lafayette, Colorado, do hereby proclaim November 1st, 2025 to be Extra Mile Day and encourage individuals in the community to take the time to not only go the extra mile in their own lives, but to also acknowledge all those who are inspirational in their efforts and commitments to make their organizations, families, communities, countries, or world a better place. So moved.
Second.
All right. Motion and second on that proclamation. Any comments or discussion? Councilor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. I can't help but recognize the people sitting in this room. Thank you for the extra miles that you go. I was trying to think of a list of names, and I can't name everybody, but the city's amazing. The people who are here go the extra mile, so I appreciate you coming in to tell council what you need to tell them. Do the work you are doing, and continuing to live, I think, what we would hope people would do in their lives and participate in their community and take care of each other. So I'd just like to thank the residents of Lafayette for going the extra mile.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. I echo that. Any other comments? All right. Well, we'll take a motion. We do have a motion actually and a second, so we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? None opposed. That proclamation passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, that brings us to presentations for tonight. We just have one. This is item H. This is introduction to the 2026 Lafayette Urban Renewal Authority budget and an amendment to the 2025 Lafayette Urban Renewal Authority budget. We have our Economic Development Director here to get the conversation started.
Great, thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm here tonight as the LURA Executive Director. I'm wearing a couple hats tonight, so buckle up. All right, so tonight I'm going to be introducing our 2026 budget and also amending our 2025 budget for LURA. So an agenda for this evening, I'm going to go through the budget process and then jump into the budget overview of both the revenue, expenses, and then key initiatives and open it up for questions and feedback. So before jumping in, I know that we've been talking about LURA winding down for a couple years now, but wanted to just remind everyone about where we are in this phase. So LURA was established in October 1999 as the lead revitalization entity for our downtown. And this past October, in October 2024, our tax increment financing expired. And so with that, we went through the process of electing or voting for approval of a downtown development authority to take over that position. So we're really in our final operational phase of LURA, and that's what this budget reflects. It's really winding down everything, expending funds, transferring projects over to the city or the DDA. And I also just found these really fun photos of what two buildings looked like in 1999, what they look like today. And so a lot of really great work that has happened in our downtown, and good to reflect for a moment. So our 2025 and 2026 budget process. So state statute governs how special districts get their budgets approved. And for our case with the Urban Renewal Authority, LURA will actually approve those budgets through resolutions, but we present those to council for feedback. And so on October 21st, I introduced the budget amendment and the draft budget for 2026 to LURA. Tonight, I'm presenting it for council feedback and discussion. And then on November 13th, I'll present the final budget to LURA and have a public hearing approving two resolutions, one for the amendment and one for 2026. So I'll start with 2025. State statute, governs that if a special district is going to expend more funds than previously budgeted, then they need to do an amendment. And for our 2025 budget, we collected additional property tax. This is because property tax is collected in arrears. And so when we did our original budget with our TIF expiring in October, we weren't sure exactly how much property tax we would collect this upcoming year. And so this amendment just accurately reflects the additional property tax. So we stopped collecting sales tax TIF in October of 2024, but we collected an additional $900,000 for property tax. So this amendment reflects those additional funds. So for the expense budget, it's really meant to wind down a lot of initiatives, and so that's why we have the downtown development bucket as a majority of our budget. And so this just gives a summary of where those funds are within our amendment. And then just reflecting a little bit about the key initiatives. So we're spending staff time for the wind down. We're continuing some of our core functions while the DDA really gets up and running. So that includes Old Town marketing, our public parking lot program. And then we have a couple of IGAs and cooperative agreements, which helps with this wind down. So as you just approved tonight through the consent agenda, that includes the 700 and 800 block streetscape project. This is design and construction of new streetscape improvements, lighting, public art, xeriscape landscaping on the 700 and 800 block of South Public Road, and then also new alleyway improvements, including paving and then storm drainage, which will be really great because we're seeing a lot of revitalization on that block with some new businesses open up with Peak to Peak and Cleva. For 108 North Public Road, this is related to LURA providing funds for the Chase Bank parking lot. DDA startup funds are related to $2 million for startup funds to help the DDA get up and running for the first 5 years. And then the South Boulder Road Revitalization Project is also a cooperative agreement you approved in the consent agenda related to doing an area plan, small business support, and district implementation. And so those are the big things that we are working towards this year, and this budget reflects that. So for 2026, looking forward, we have no new revenues. So this is our last year of collecting property tax. The revenues reflected in the budget in your packet does not show any additional revenues. And then for the expenses, this is really meant to be the completion of LURA, hopefully. We still have 2 properties that we need to dispose of, and so This next coming year is really meant to wind down the transfer of remaining assets, selling those additional 2 properties. And so you'll see that, our budget really shrinks in 2026, just with hoping that we'll be able to wrap everything up in the 2026. So short and sweet, but tonight I'm here to present the budget and get any comments or get any feedback. And then, like I said, I'll be presenting this budget for final approval for 2 resolutions and a public hearing on November 13th with Laura. So happy to turn it back to the mayor for any questions or feedback.
Great, thank you so much for that presentation. I'll look to council to see if anyone has questions, feedback, thoughts on the presentation, what's been presented. Councilor Friedman.
So we have a healthy reserve every year, which normally is great, right? We should have a reserve. Why do we have a reserve for the end of 2026? Why would we need that in the budget? Am I reading this correctly? Looking at the.
So if we look at the budget, the available fund balance ending all the way over here would be 0. So the 318,000 is just what we plan to spend. So we wouldn't have any more fund balance. There is, the total reserves. That is related to loans that Laura has provided to different businesses and property owners in towns. And so until those loans are forgiven or exhausted, we hold those on the books as a promissory and deed of trust.
Okay,
Yes, sorry about that.
thank you. Got it.
Is that all?
That's it.
Okay, thanks. Other councilors, Councilor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. Just like to say, being on the council representative on the Downtown Development Authority and having heard this process start and some of the major concerns like parking issues, the fund balance, how do we get the DDA up and running? I'd just like to say that this is what's happening is what we were hoping would happen as far as the handshakes between Laura and the DDA and that surprising $900K at the end. That's pleasant and unexpected. We'll
Won't
take
say
it.
no to it. Yeah.
No, so from what I see, it's progressing just as we want it to progress, and hopefully we can conclude with those last 2, what Laura needs to finish, and then
Yeah, we're on a good path.
yeah. That's all I have.
Cool, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Just want to quickly recognize the Laura Board and thank you, Director Keating, for all that you've done for Laura. I don't know if you'll be coming before council in regards to Laura, so I just wanted to acknowledge that and all that the Laura has done for our community. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, I think that's all from us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so that brings us to now regular business. We have a few items here. We're going to begin with item I. This is a public hearing for resolution number 2025-63, making certain findings of fact regarding the proposed annexation of property located at the southwest corner of Arapahoe Road and 287, located in Boulder County, Colorado. For September, as noticed in the Daily Camera, September 19th, the 22nd, October 3rd, and October 10th. This resolution, just so the public is aware, the resolution for this item was revised on October 27th, 2025 at 2:32 p.m. We had to make a slight adjustment to that, and so just wanted to make that clear before we get started. So we have our planning and building director here to get us started. Thanks.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. As stated, tonight's application is a Range at Lafayette Annexation Number 2, and it's an eligibility hearing. The resolution associated is 2563. As a public hearing, the agenda is as follows. I'll have an introduction. The applicant is here. Kensington Development Partners will have their presentation, and then we'll come back for staff analysis, council questions, and then public input, public testimony before the public hearing portion of the meeting is closed, and then we'll move on to council discussion and then ask for a motion. So the 3 basic steps required by the state for an annexation process are substantial compliance, tonight's eligibility, hearing and determination, and then a final action at some point in the future. That substantial compliance meeting occurred after the petition was received on August 21st. That hearing occurred last month on September 16th. And then tonight's meeting is really to determine whether or not the parcel in question is eligible for annexation according to state statutes. So giving us a little context about where we are and how this relates, and then also kind of speaking to what the mayor noted in terms of the update. So the update to the agenda item was just to kind of clarify that this is a series annexation. We have the Range at Lafayette annexation number 1, which has gone through eligibility hearing and substantial compliance already earlier this year. We are now looking at the Range at Lafayette annexation number 2. And the reason that's a series annexation is that contiguity requirement. You can see Silo and Westridge are in Lafayette. Those are contiguous with the Range at Lafayette number 1. Once the Range at Lafayette number 1 is annexed in, then the contiguity exists for the Range at Lafayette number 2. And then the other clarification, the reason that this hasn't done all holistically was that the Range at Lafayette used to be in Erie, and that disconnected over the summer. So until we knew that that was going to be able to be a part of that application, the other piece was moving forward. Now we're kind of put a pause on it in order for that second piece to catch up. So the map on the left is the land use map from our comprehensive plan. The parcel in question is this rectangle here, and that red designation clarifies that our land use comprehensive plan and the land use designation map and the comprehensive plan from 2021 designated this as adaptable commercial. So that just suggests that Lafayette was anticipating this coming into the city at that time. And then the global settlement agreement with Erie, which was mentioned earlier tonight, also reflects this property as being within Lafayette's influence area and reflects agreement that this property would also develop within Lafayette. So this is we're kind of building on the annexation process. This is a little bit more substantial clarification of what that process is. It also includes an annexation impact report. We're here at that eligibility hearing. We'll move on to a concurrent review by staff that includes outside referral agencies, and we'll get into, and then eventually we get to the decision point, and that's when action on this is actually binding. But that more complicated review process that involves zoning, PUD plat, and SPAR is outlined here. We've gone over this in the past, so this is just to kind of indicate that this is how those all dovetail together, how we require a zoning application with annexation, and then how and when the PUD and plat application tie in. The SPAR is not required as part of the annexation process, but we are anticipating that the applicant will fold that in at some point too, and then really the final binding decision occurs way at the end of the process. And so just to summarize, for tonight, the annexation eligibility criteria are outlined in CRS 3112-104, as well as the limitations that are outlined in Colorado Revised Statutes 3112-105. And that's what will be presented tonight by the applicant, and then I'll give you an analysis at the end. But this, again, does not constitute final action by City Council or represent the council's position on the feasibility or desirability of the annexation.
Good afternoon, council members. Good evening, I should say. So like Stephen said, this is specifically the Range at Lafayette annexation number 2.
And do you mind, I know we've met already,
Oh,
but
yes.
do you mind introducing yourself
Absolutely.
to the public? Thank you.
So my name is Edgar Crockett with Kensington Development Partners. I also have Lindsay Lyda here with me. She's our land use attorney, and she'll be going through, some of the legalese that Stephen referenced on the actual annexation requirements and eligibility requirements. So I'll hit the project overview, a little bit of process and schedule, and then Lindsay will come up and hit that eligibility requirements. So like Stephen said, right at the corner of Arapahoe Road and Highway 287, you can see the actual indicated parcel highlighted on the map. And then again, Stephen did a great job of hitting the fact that that large space to the southwest is the Range at Lafayette annexation number 1. And to that point, this is a serial annexation in conjunction with that annexation number 1. And so this parcel specifically is just under 3.5 acres. When you consider it as a whole between annexation number 1 and number 2, it's just over 38 acres is what the project will be on the whole. So as Stephen mentioned, September 16th, we had our annexation resolution to achieve substantial compliance. Tonight we'll have our annexation eligibility hearing. And then in conjunction with that, since we did have the 2 annexations, we did restart the actual sketch plan process in order to have one cohesive project under the 2 annexation, in conjunction with the 2 annexation petitions. So the intent to develop period for the concept plan associated with this project is currently open now. So if any members of the public have comments, that concept plan is posted online and is open for public comment at this time. And so still to come, obviously, is the sketch plan, which will be subsequent to that intent to develop period on the concept plan. Obviously, there's neighborhood meetings, planning commission, and city council meetings associated with that step, as well as each subsequent step for the preliminary plat PUD, the final plat PUD, and then ultimately the annexation final vote where it becomes a binding annexation. And then we will also have the site plan and architectural review for a number of elements within the project as a whole once we get through those planning and entitlement phases as well. So I'll invite Lindsay up to talk through the requirements.
Thank you. Good evening, Council, Mayor. As Edgar said, my name is Lindsay Lyda. I'm a land use attorney for Kensington, helping with this annexation and entitlements. Your staff report tonight had a very thorough analysis of the eligibility requirements and how this annexation satisfies those. I'm just going to quickly give a high-level overview of how we're complying and why this annexation or this property is eligible for annexation. So first, there is just one property owner here, and they own the entire portion of the property. So we satisfy the Colorado Constitution requirement there. And then as Stephen mentioned, as part of the serial annexation, once annexation number 1 is approved and annexed, then immediately after that, we'll have the second annexation. And we will at that time be 100% contiguous with Lafayette. So we exceed this 1/6 requirement. These requirements here relating to a community of interest, that the property will be urban or is urban or will be urbanized, and that the property is integrated or capable of being integrated with Lafayette. Under the annexation statute, just by a finding that the property satisfies that 1/6 contiguous requirement, that provides the basis for finding compliance with these 3 criteria. In addition, as Stephen mentioned, this property has been planned to be annexed and developed within Lafayette. It's in the comprehensive plan, the infrastructure is available, so it satisfies all 3 of these requirements. No property is divided as part of this annexation. We're taking the entire parcel, again, one owner, as part of this annexation. And there are no other pending annexations for this property, and it's not a part of any other municipality. Finally, there's no impact to the school district. The property, as I'm sure you pass often, it's certainly within, near Lafayette, I guess not technically in yet, but so no issue with it being more than 3 miles away. And there's no right-of-way included in this annexation, so no issues with that. And that is our presentation this evening. If there's any questions, we're happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you.
So they've already gone through the 10 criteria that are outlined in those revised statutes, 104 and 105. 104 is really the contiguity and kind of ability to serve criteria, and then 105 is what's considered limitations, and those are more like whether or not it is all of the property owners, whether or not we're subdividing property, whether or not we're taking a portion of a road and not all of it. Those are all restrictions that kind of prevent us from meeting those requirements. But as outlined tonight and as summarized in the staff memo that you guys received, staff's also found that all of these criteria have been met. So the other pieces that are associated with the eligibility hearing, it's pretty involved because it's got state requirements. We had to have this meeting 30 to 60 days from the last meeting. Tonight we're having it 41 days from the meeting in September, so we meet that requirement. We also have to have a public notification 4 consecutive weeks, and as the mayor stated earlier in tonight's meeting, we satisfied those with the dates that are outlined there. And then we do provide notice to all special districts, including the school district, and then we had to provide annexation impact report that was delivered to Boulder County as part of this application. That's all been satisfied. And then written notice about the public hearing was mailed to property owners within 700 feet of the property, and signs were posted on along all of the adjacent rights of way. So if resolution 2563 is passed tonight, you'll basically just be allowing the application to proceed through the process, and then other associated development applications as outlined in that slide earlier will come back to Planning Commission and City Council as they get to that stage. And the public, also importantly, will have additional opportunities to comment on the annexation and those other applications. And as mentioned, just so that things don't get confused, we received intent to develop portion, so we don't fully have a sketch plan application yet. This is a pre-application or pre-submittal requirement. We've had a pre-application meeting, and then it follows with the intent to develop. That was received last week and posted online. That 10-day period started yesterday. So the public, not you guys, gets more detail on what that application is, and we're expecting that will advance the Planning Commission and City Council for your consideration and feedback in the next couple of months. So that's it for my presentation. I'm here for questions if you guys have them.
Yes, so we'll start with council questions now before we get to public testimony. And just a point of clarification for members of the public or members of council if need be, once again, this is a annexation eligibility hearing. And so we're just, double checking the criteria that's been put forward by the state of Colorado under revised statutes 31-12-104 and 105, and seeing if this is eligible for annexation. We're not annexing any property tonight. That'll come at a later date, depending on how the hearing goes tonight. But are there any questions from council about any of those eligibility requirements or what's been presented in front of us today? Councilor Sampson.
And the reason this was not a part of the range number 1 annexation was because it was owned by a separate.
It was currently within, so it wouldn't have met one of those, what are they called? Limitation requirements, because it was technically within Erie. So it had to get disconnected before we could process it as an application. So, does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions? All right, no questions for now. All right, this is a public hearing. So if there are any members of the public that wish to speak regarding this topic, you may come up and do so now. All right. I'm not seeing any speaker forms in front of me, nor am I seeing any folks that want to speak in person. I'm checking online now as well, and I do not see any callers. So with that, we will close public input. Thank you. Okay, so now council has the opportunity to discuss this pre-annexation application. And then if not, we'll take a motion. So I just want to see if there are any items that folks would like to bring up to discuss. No? Okay, then we'll take a motion if someone feels ready.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-63, making certain findings of fact regarding the proposed annexation of property located at the southwest corner of Arapahoe Road and US Highway 287, located in Boulder County, Colorado.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion, second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you. And thank you all for joining us this evening as well. Appreciate it. Okay. I'm going to move right along to item J. This is first reading of ordinance number 22, series 2025, amending chapter 86 of collective bargaining for firefighters and chapter 87, collective bargaining for police officers, to allow for collective bargaining agreements with terms of less than 3 years. Our deputy city manager is here to get us started.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. We're here to talk about the ordinance pertaining to police and fire collective bargaining and the terms of bargaining. I'm going to give you a little bit of background and go through some ordinance language and motion language. I do want to recognize that we have Sergeant Tyler Maynard here. He is our lead for the FOP, and fire, the IAFF representative intended to come at the last meeting but was unable to make it this evening. But we have kind of support from both parties, all parties involved, and we worked on this together with the city attorneys. So in 2025, we engaged in collective bargaining with the fire department, represented by IAFF 4620, and with the Lafayette Police Department, the FOP Lodge 3. This lies in sections 86 and 87 of the code, and currently in the code, we require a 3-year collective bargaining agreement. So during the process, we had several conversations that led us to really discuss the kind of terms that are in the code, and we all mutually agreed that an update to this section of code would be beneficial to our future collective bargaining efforts. So the purpose of this change would be to change the language. It's a pretty simple change in the code to up to 3 years, and so instead of requiring a 3-year bargaining agreement, we would have up to 3 years. So it could be a 1-year or a 2-year or a 3-year agreement. We found that we had some challenges in addressing economic fluctuations, and this would give us some flexibility in kind of better understanding economic fluctuations, particularly over the past few years with collective bargaining with the IAFF. This has been a real challenge with the kind of economic conditions. And this will also help us address the kind of lack of precision that we found in the market forecasting over the longer time horizon of a 3-year period. We have had lots of conversations about reopeners and side letters and that type of thing, and it's nice if we can have a collective bargaining agreement that we can follow through the terms without those types of kind of side letters. So we all agreed to that. So this is really also aligned with bargaining agreements that we looked at in almost all other communities in our area that are more 2-year bargaining terms or that allow for flexibility. We didn't see any other 3-year terms. So this is a pretty minor change, as I mentioned. It amends chapter 8615 and 8715 in the firefighter and police officer code respectively, and this basically changes it to a duration of up to 3 years instead of a duration of 3 years. So we have motion language before you for ordinance number 22, series 2025.
Awesome, thank you so much. Are there any questions from council or for staff? Or for? No? Okay, we'll take a motion.
I move to approve on first reading ordinance number 22, series 2025, amending chapter 86, collective bargaining for firefighters, and chapter 87, collective bargaining for police officers of the Code of Ordinances to allow for collective bargaining agreements with terms of less than 3 years.
Second.
Motion and second, any further discussion? All right, sounds good. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, that was a quick one, but now we're getting into the budget. Once again, if folks are sticking around for items later on in the agenda, you're more than welcome to stay. You can also access the meetings at home through video and on TV, YouTube as well. Otherwise, you can hang out with us all night. So next we're on to item K. These are items pertaining to the City of Lafayette 2026 budget. We have our CFO here. There's several items underneath here, including second reading of Series 2025 appropriating funds for the operation of the city for the fiscal year 2025, adoption of the 2026 pay plan, fee resolutions, and so I will let our CFO get us started.
Great, well, thanks that was a great summary. All that we're doing tonight around our second reading of the ordinance, the pay plan, and the fee updates as well for approval this evening on the 2026 recommended budget. So our agenda, we're going to talk about the process and overview, follow up from first reading, fee resolutions, and then motion language was also provided. Budget process overview. So we consistently show this, and the circles have been moving. So we are in October, and this is our second hearing. Council has to adopt the budget no later than the last Thursday in October. So the recommended budget for 2026 is $145 million. A little over $53 million of that is general fund, and close to $92 million in dedicated funds. So we have our 2026 revenue overview here by fund and by type. So spending about $117.6 million, or excuse me, receiving $117.6 million in revenues. That's slightly down from 2025, largely due to intergovernmental revenue, not doing as many, didn't get as many grants, and still doing significant capital in 2026, but didn't receive as much grant funding as you did South Boulder Road improvements, Highway 7, 119. So that's the slight reduction in revenue from last year. We did predict a slight increase in sales and use tax, about 2%, 4% increase in property tax for revenue. So those are the highlights. And then we have our expenditures for 2026, $145 million. Again, this is also slightly down from the anticipated budget from 2025. Personnel is up. Capital, again, is slightly down due to less expenditure due to less intergovernmental revenue. And then we also reduced operating slightly from 2025. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry about that. And then our 2026 pay plan highlights. We have the full-time and part-time pay plan, combination of market-based range adjustments and merit-based increases. General employees, our average increase is 3%. Salary ranges are all above the 2026 state minimum wage, as well as all pay plans are also above the state minimum wage requirements. Police are receiving a 4% increase per their collective bargaining agreement in 2026. Fire is receiving a 3% increase per their collective bargaining agreement, and there is range movement happening in 2026 as well in alignment with the market. So summary highlights again, rising costs seen across all categories of expenditures. A review of actual versus budgeted expenditure alignment, took a really close look at what we've been spending in the past and our revenues coming in and how we make those work. So some reallocation of budget within funds, and a focus on maintaining progress made on compensation plan and philosophy, address and meeting rising operating costs, and proactively plan and address capital needs. The detail, your budget book, and your second reading memo are all in your packet. There's a lot of detail there, as well as responses to your first reading questions. And so just wanted to thank all the staff and the departments for the preparation of this document and for your review at our budget introduction in August, as well as our first reading and this, your final second reading. So we have the fee resolutions. So we have the Gulf Enterprise, current cost recovery and market analysis that happens. Solid waste, which is your trash with Republic. Our contract stipulates that increase is based on the Denver Aurora Lakewood CPI, and then there's also an admin fee for cost recovery. Utility rates, recently did a Raftellus rate study for water reclamation and stormwater, and thus the 2022 increases that we discussed at the August 28th budget workshop are part of this 2026 budget. So average monthly bill impact for utility fees, waste management is $1.65 bill increase. That includes the admin fee as well as the 2026 increase for the typical single-family residential customer. Water utility fees, the increase is $7.14. That's estimate based on single-family residential customer using 3,000 gallons per month. Water reclamation fees, additional $3.89. again, based on a single-family residential customer. And then stormwater fees, an additional $6 bill increase in 2026. And then any questions? So again, this is a real high overview. You've got all the detail, and happy to have any questions and lots of help from staff. I'm just the messenger.
No, thank you for taking the time to put all that together. Does council have questions on any of these items presented to us regarding the budget? I know it's second reading, so, but it's still, if there's anything else, Councilor Sampson?
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about the Indians Peaks Golf Course fees? I feel like we missed a whole presentation.
Yeah, so we are bringing information about our comprehensive fee study that's covering both golf and recreation fees at the next meeting. With golf fees for this year, because we knew this process and this project was going to take a little bit longer, we followed the same approach that we generally do with the golf course and have for many years. So we look at our operational costs, recovering those costs, and then we're balancing also the competitiveness in the market. So what you're seeing is a roughly 3% increase from last year. And it's pretty typical for our process.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions from council? There's this second reading. Okay.
We've got some motion language here.
Okay, we'll take a motion if someone feels ready, please.
I move to approve on second reading ordinance number 21, series 2025, appropriating funds for the operation of the city for the fiscal year of 2026.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Are all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? None opposed. That ordinance passes unanimously. Let's move on to the pay plan.
I move to adopt the 2026 pay plan. That's a great motion. Second.
Motion and a second on the pay plan. Any comments or discussion on this? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Finally, the resolution. Or multiple resolutions, never mind.
Multiple resolutions on the fees, each of the
Yeah.
individual fees.
Yeah. Never mind, just this resolution. Please, somebody who's feeling.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-64, establishing the fees for the Indian Peaks Golf Course commencing January 1st, 2026.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Next motion, please.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-65, amending Exhibit B, quote, City of Lafayette customer rates, unquote, of the comprehensive residential refuse, recyclables, and organics collection services contract between the City of Lafayette and Republic Services of Denver to establish refuse, recycling, and organics collection services rates and establishing the monthly administrative fee for residential customer accounts commencing January 1st, 2026.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Next motion.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-66, establishing the stormwater utility rates, fees, and charges commencing on January 1st, 2026.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-67, establishing the water utility rates, fees, and charges commencing January 1, 2026.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you. And finally,
I move to approve resolution number 2025-68, establishing the water reclamation utility rates, fees, and charges commencing January 1st, 2026.
Second.
motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. None opposed. That passes unanimously as well.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we got first reading, we got second reading, we got it all the way through. Congratulations to everyone for getting through that. All right, that brings us to item L for tonight. Resolution number 2025-69, adopting a budget and making appropriations for the fiscal year 2025 and the fiscal year 2026 for the Lafayette Downtown Development Authority.
Thanks, Mayor and Council. I'm here as the DDA Executive Director for this next presentation. So as the Mayor mentioned, I'm going to be presenting the 2025 and 2026 Lafayette DDA budget, and you're going to be considering a resolution for approval. This is different than LURA, and DDA's budget process is governed through state statute where the governing body actually approves the budget. So just in a second, the DDA is recommending a budget for you all to approve. So I'm going to go through the budget process, revenue, expenses, including key outcomes and initiatives, next steps and discussion with some proposed motion language. So we started our budget process earlier this summer where we held a workshop, and on August 11th, I brought forward a budget that aligned with our work plan on our early projects and initiatives that we want to accomplish. And then on our September 8th meeting, I brought forward a recommended budget which they approved and are bringing forward to council. So that is this evening, I'll be going through that budget and you'll be considering approval of a resolution for both 2025 and 2026. So in starting the presentation, I wanted to just reflect on how we are approaching our budget process. So as you all are familiar with, the Old Town Tomorrow is our action plan for the DDA. It is both the legal requirement, it's the plan of development, but it also serves as a roadmap for our authority. And it really has a strong foundation of partnering with the city and implementing the community's vision and strategic plans. And we have 6 priority focus areas, which you can see on the screen here. And within that, we looked at the entire plan and wanted to think, what do we want to prioritize for these first couple of years? And with that, we had that workshop and we developed a great work plan that we think that will see a lot of success and implement some really impactful things these first couple of years in the district. And with that, this budget complements that. So I wanted to kind of go through what we're hoping to accomplish. So for revenue, as you're familiar with, our DDA is funded through tax increment financing, where a portion of the sales and property tax above the base is reinvested within the district. We are also very lucky that our Urban Renewal Authority has transferred roughly $2 million to the DDA for start funding for the first 5 years. This is really important because the increment these first years is small while we generate that fund balance. And so this allows us to really have an impact within the district and build on the momentum of LURA. So those funds go to the administrative fee, the parking lot program, including maintenance and snow removal, and also providing buckets for small business support, such as capital grants, and district support, marketing, farmers market, and holiday lights, which are going up if you haven't noticed. Looking to 2026, this is our first year of collecting TIF, and so you can see here that we're looking to get almost $150,000 for projected revenue. And so our revenue for this first year is property tax, sales tax, interest, and then also miscellaneous revenue is related to loan repayments that LURA is getting is just going to be transferred over to the DDA. So for property tax, we're lucky that we have 25 years of a special district in Old Town where we could look at historical trends from urban renewal and use a similar forecasting for what we think our property tax will be. And so it assumes the same share of base present value growth versus the tax increment growth. The property tax gets reassessed every year, the base gets reassessed, and so this just follows that same trend. And then the base is going to be set by the Boulder County Assessor's Office, and they'll be the ones that actually determine the TIF amount, but we're taking a conservative approach for this first year. For sales tax, we also looked at Old Town sales tax trends, but also citywide trends. And our base for our area is $1.75 million, and that's based off of a 12-month period prior to when the plan of development was approved. And so any increment above that 1.75 goes into the DDA's reserves. We projected a really conservative approach of 2.5. We are confident that we're going to actually get more because there are some projects that have come online that will generate sales tax. But until we actually see how the district does, we want to take a conservative approach for these first couple of years. So moving on to expenses. For 2025, with the LURA transferring over those funds, we just have a small amount that we're putting towards operational administrative, repairs and maintenance for the parking lots, and then downtown development for some small business support. And then for 2026, this is when we really build on the momentum of Laura with this very colorful pie chart here, where we're doing work in downtown development, advertising and marketing, professional services, streetscapes, cultural arts, and community events. And I'll go through some of the key things that are coming out of these buckets. So for these first three, the administrative fee, this is, as you may be familiar with, the IGA that we have, the DDA in the city, provides administrative support. So staff time, IT, legal, finance. So we have a budget in our a line for that. We have funds for printing, networking, paying the county treasurer, and then also our parking lot program, continuing the work that Laura has done, and snow removal and maintenance. It's been a great asset in our downtown. We've gotten good feedback, so the DDA will be taking that program over. For streetscape and professional services, everyone will be happy that we're going to continue the downtown holiday lights. We also have some funding in here to explore the expansion of bike racks. You've probably noticed that there are a few bike racks in Old Town, and it's because we have narrow sidewalks and there's some sight triangle constraints that we're working with, but the DDA is interested in piloting potentially taking a parking spot or maybe even looking in the Laura parking lots about converting a parking spot into a bike rack. So we have funding to explore that initiative. And then for professional services, we'll be looking to release a design RFP next year for a new wayfinding program, the design for that, which will be really exciting because right now we just have parking lot signs and monument signs, but we don't have wayfinding for pedestrians or cyclists. So this will be a great initiative to rethink about how we bring people throughout the district. And then we also have some funding related to special district consultants and support we might need. For advertising and marketing, and then the cultural arts and community events, Laura has been doing marketing for the past 4 years for Old Town with our website and social media channels, so the DDA will be picking that up and actually looking to maybe even hiring a staff or a contractor to continue that work. And so they laid a really good foundation, and they're excited to move this into a good direction where we engage with businesses more. And then we'll be continuing the partnership with the farmers market, helping pay for their traffic control, and then launching a new creativity and cultural arts microgrant program, which will be really exciting to be able to work with just our great artistic community with murals or festivals or workshops or programming. So that'll be a great way to engage with different community groups. And then lastly, with downtown development, we're looking to launch a small business support grant program, and then also laying the foundation for hopefully establishing a pathway to ownership program. So actually seeing how the DDA can help businesses when they're ready to purchase their property, how can we help with that? So some really exciting initiatives that we're looking to accomplish. This is just a summary of all that the DDA is excited to do. And with that, as a reminder, tonight I'm presenting this budget for you all to consider the resolution for approval, and happy to answer any questions, and I've proposed motion language when ready.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for putting that presentation together. Let's see if there are questions from council on this topic. Council today. Councilor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to say for council, it might not be abundantly clear, but the way the DDA is rolling out, it is poised to align with a lot of the city's initiatives as well, and the concerns of sustainability, transportation around town, culture, and I think it's a great outlet for if we want to see something in action, the DDA can act on some of the ideas that council may have moving forward. And I think it's a very well laid out and funded beginning to the next part of what Lafayette's going to be doing. So I do think it's a really fantastic transition into what will help with our business development and economic plan for the rest of the city, and it'll be very obvious as soon as we get the wayfinding in. It's going to be great, and more fabulous branding stuff. I like the colors. Great. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Other questions or comments from council? No? Okay. Can we get a motion, please?
I move to approve resolution number 2025-69, adopting a budget and making appropriations for the fiscal year 2025 and the fiscal year 2026 for the Lafayette Downtown Development Authority.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, wow. We're whipping through this. Okay, item M. This is resolution number 2025-73, opting out of enacting gray water regulations and prohibiting the use of gray water and the installation of gray water treatment. We have a Public Works Director here. Get us started.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. So here tonight to speak to resolution number 2025-73 regarding the gray water. I will say up front, we're not asking council tonight to adopt an ordinance or specific program. So I'm going to give you the short version. Happy to answer any questions, but it's also something that we could talk about in much greater detail at a future meeting based on council's interests. So I'm going to start off just giving a brief overview of what gray water use is, talk a little bit about some of the applicable federal, state, and local regulations, give you a quick overview of House Bill 2024-1362, review the resolution we have, and then again, answer any questions you have, and we have a proposed motion. So just to start things off, our typical order of events for our utility systems is that we are fortunate to be a headwater state, and we divert our source water from the Rocky Mountains. So we're getting first dibs on fresh snow. We then treat that water to state and federal standards, deliver it to homes and business, and conventional building plumbing delivers that to individual fixtures. Once it's used, it goes down the drain. It goes back to our water reclamation facility on County Line Road. It goes back into Coal Creek, then the South Platte and Mississippi, and thousands of people reuse that water before it gets to the ocean. When you add the element of gray water reuse, basically what that entails is adding a small treatment plant inside the home or business that takes water from certain plumbing fixtures, generally things like showers, tubs, bathroom sinks, washing machines, treats that water to a lesser standard than we would do at the treatment plant, and then that can be plumbed back to toilets and for subsurface irrigation. So basically it can go to places where there's minimal risk of human contact. Once it goes to the toilet, it goes back to the sewer system, the water reclamation plant, and back to the river like anything else. So it's kind of a small piece of the water is reused an additional time before it's returned to the river. There are a broad variety of regulations that the city has to comply with related to how we provide water and wastewater services, and those are administered through the EPA, the State Health Department. Water rights are administered by the state engineer, and then the Boulder County Health Department has a role in that. In 2013, the legislature enacted House Bill 13-1044, which basically teed up that local governments could adopt gray water regulations. The caveat with that being that it became the responsibility of the local government to develop local regulations and programs and services to make sure you still met all of the federal, state, and local regulations. In 2024, House Bill 24-1362 sort of shifted that from an opt-in to an opt-out. So local governments are required to either allow gray water or to opt out by the January 1st, 2026 deadline. It does not remove the requirement that you would, if you're allowing gray water, that you have to develop those ordinances and programs and services to make sure that you still comply with all of the state and federal regulations. So the city, like many other communities, has been closely monitoring developments in this. This slide, and it's not super legible, I appreciate the scale, but if this is a case study for like Colorado Waterwise, which is a conservation group. They have a website and you can get this information in detail. But basically, this looks at implementation of gray water programs around the state. There has not been a big uptake in other communities implementing programs, and where they have, the number of customers that have actually taken advantage of those is pretty small. You can see on here, City and County of Denver has had, it's been allowed since 2016. They've had 3 homes. Based on this study, Castle Rock is the biggest with 30, and there's a number of communities that have done programs that have 0. So at this point, we don't have a great model of a successful program in which to look to replicate in Lafayette. Conversely, the Colorado Municipal League went as far as doing a model ordinance for opting out based on broad community's interest in opting out at this time. So what we are recommending is that we opt out. That doesn't mean we can't relook at this in the future, but essentially at this point, there doesn't seem to be a good framework out there to implement a successful program ahead of that deadline. So basically, if council approves this resolution tonight, we would continue to monitor progress in this field. If at some point in the future there starts to be a framework for a successful program that we could replicate, we could come back and give you analysis of the pros and cons and cost, and consider repealing this resolution and adopting ordinances and funding programs and services at that time. So with that, we have a resolution. Again, I'm more than happy to answer any questions, or happy to come back at a future date and get into the weeds on the details of some of the pros and cons.
All right, well, thank you so much for that presentation. Questions from council? Councilor Sampson.
It doesn't say in here how long you want this to be an opt-out for.
So it would be until such time as we repeal it.
So indefinitely.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, the challenge is if we don't have this, then it is allowed, and if it is allowed, if we don't have the ordinances and programs, we're potentially in violation of our CDPHE permits or have issues with the state engineer around water rights. So it would need to stay in place until such time as we had other laws and programs in place to stay compliant.
Okay. Councilor Friedland.
Did CML do a model regulation
They
in terms
did a
of
model
opt-out?
They did not do a model
how to comply.
Is my understanding.
Can I answer some of this? Because I sat in those discussions at the CML Policy Committee. So basically what happened is CML was a big pusher of trying to get to the opt-out program. It came from the cities. And the issue came up, and there was a lot of discussion, and it was split enough, there was enough to say, yes, let's move this forward through the state and get an opt-out program. But there were probably 45% of the cities in that discussion that said, oh, we're not ready. Oh, I don't know if we can handle it. We're too small. And so what you're getting from this is CML saying, we kind of need to help all of our communities. So it wasn't something that was necessarily supportive. What was supportive is CML going to the state.
So if I'm understanding correctly, there were a number of communities pushing CML to go after this opt-out model with the state bill. And those communities, I'm assuming, were planning then to develop their own programs. Yes. Okay. And then for the ones that were hesitant, CML did this opt-out to make it easy to opt out.
Correct.
Got it. I'm curious, did our sustainability group see this one, have a conversation about this one?
We have talked to them briefly, yes.
Okay, okay. Did they have any comments or?
Again, at this point, we're not ruling it out. It's really more of a conclusion that having something in place by the January 1st deadline is probably not realistic to do it and do it well and have it be a successful program.
And keep us in compliance.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good conversation. Councilor Barnes.
Thank you. I'm curious about the lack of adoption of these systems over time. It's not, it doesn't sound like it's a new concept, but it just isn't taken up. Is that because developers are not interested in having this as a feature or retrofitting
So
plumbing
there's
systems?
a little bit of data, and it's if you're curious, it's really worth checking out their website. But so, for example, their assumptions and estimates on this was that a system would cost another $4,500. They're estimating an average of $36 a year in annual maintenance, which I'm not totally sure what that's based on, but that actually seems relatively low for having a wastewater treatment plant in your house. And then estimating an annual savings between $69 and $138 with a ROI of 33 to 65 years. And that's based on a single-family residential with 4 residents, and it looks like flushing the toilet roughly 24 times a day. So, even with relatively generous assumptions, it doesn't necessarily look like something that might pencil out well for most people. And then, as you all know, for Lafayette, a huge amount of our water use is outdoors. We use 5 times more water in the summer than we do in the winter. And in terms of areas where we could probably move the ball, this might not be the area where we would get the most bang for our buck. And I would say that's probably true of many communities across Colorado. So, but again, as technology changes, as we get more data, and if other places are able to do successful programs, we're open to stealing other people's ideas to.
That leads me, thank you. That leads me to my next question. When you come out with the technology, like I had a conversation with, multiple conversations actually with people regarding heat pumps. And the industry doesn't seem, one of the residents here has told me that he really had to educate the providers on what he was finding in order to move the ball, if you will, along the lines. And heat pumps are kind of a remarkable physics experiment that works. Is a gray water treatment plant that complex? I mean, how much more does the technology have to advance to get water clean enough?
So the difference is you're not treating to the same standard as a regular treatment plant or a water treatment plant, but it's in your house. So particularly if you have kids, that things go down the drain that you might never want to see again, or things go in the washing machine that you might not want to see again. So you need something that's going to remove those things before they end up in the little teeny hose that feeds your toilet tank. And that's presumably going to have some level of maintenance. It's probably going to involve a pump, so it's going to have an energy cost to move things back within your house. It's going to need protection to make sure you don't contaminate the domestic water supply in your home or elsewhere. And, it also may not be for everybody, depending on your household and your pets and whoever might have contact with the toilet, or what's going to be acceptable in terms of having water that's been previously used there. The technology may evolve. Most treatment involves some sort of combination of chemicals and energy. Right?
And thank you. And so there's for the city to take on the production or offer the service of producing gray water, that's a whole nother discussion, I'm guessing.
Well, we wouldn't be producing it, right? The facility in someone's home would be theirs, and they would have to own and operate and maintain it. So the city would need to have some enforcement mechanism to make sure that that didn't contaminate the city water supply, didn't create a public health issue in the building. So that's probably some form of inspection and monitoring. So example, like commercial buildings have a backflow prevention device that requires an annual certification. If people don't certify that, we have to turn their water off. So it's just adding a layer of complexity. On a broad scale, and I think we've talked about this some, we have ability to actually do reuse on a grand scale. So we hope, subject to being able to get funding in the next decade or so, to be able to take our treated effluent from the water reclamation plant, move it back to Goose Haven, and then treat it to a drinking water standard and reuse that, which is, again, a highly efficient, centralized plant where we can treat it to a standard where we're, very comfortable with it meeting health and safety requirements. But trying to do that on a individual homeowner scale, just it has some challenges.
And is there a technology for doing that that exists? Are there places where they do that for residential areas on a grand scale that's efficient, or that technology doesn't really exist?
I mean, I think the technology exists. It's just interesting that in Colorado, it doesn't appear that it exists in a way that has caused areas where it's allowed for there to be a lot of uptake of that, right? So if city and county of Denver was seeing 3 homes, just gives me pause that we could spend a lot of time and resources on that, and if people don't use it, and it takes away from our ability to fund other things where we are seeing the ball move. Like we've been really focusing on turf removal and xeriscaping, and I think we've made actually some tangible progress in that area. And certainly my initial thought is that's probably, given our resources, that's probably a better place to invest until we see this evolve to a point that either the technology is better, or the acceptability to the customer is better, or it has a better environmental benefit or return on investment.
I guess one last question. And if we were to repeal that opt-out, that's a council decision?
Yeah, so we just are proposing it as a resolution. So all you would need was a resolution to repeal the resolution. And again, I would assume it would be packaged as part of an item that would include ordinances or other resolutions to implement the regulations and programs and services to make sure that we were not running afoul of anything with CDPHE or EPA.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councilor Sampson?
I have lots of comments. I've been asking for this for 4 years. So here's the deal. We talked about sustainability, and yet we heard last week from somebody from our sustainability committee that mountain snowpack is projected to decline 5 to 30% by 2050. That warmer conditions have already reduced soil moisture, and the atmosphere's drying power, evaporative demand has risen 5% since 1980. By 2030, that's 5 years from now, the amount of drought days and extreme precipitation events will more than double. So we've got a request from our community, and I felt like we couldn't really answer that last week because we don't have a whole lot of money to be able to put to this. Now, I know you're surprised, but I read the regulation from the CDPHE on this. I think it's called 86, Regulation 86. And what I got from it is 2 things. Yes, we would have to give some time for staff to get something together because we'd have to give them at least, they have to put some information in to CDPHE. I feel like I'm leaving you out. 60 days to do something of a plan, right? So my first issue is in perpetuity, we're not going to do this in perpetuity. I feel like we have just authorized $458,000 for water and wastewater comprehensive plans because, and this is from the notes from this, is because the demand is increasing in our community exponentially. So we have to spend more money to do that. We just voted to increase water rates for all of our residents. And yet, by deciding not to do this, we are standing in the way of reducing water and making it easier on low and moderate income individuals and reducing water overall. It's a sustainability issue. So why are we not doing something that at least would have the opportunity to help in these situations? I can't understand the amount of work that's going to be a problem when we're saying that in 10 years, Denver has had 3 people do it. Now, we're going to have more. Why? Because we have intelligent, capable population in Lafayette who are very wise on sustainability. So they're going to do this. $4,500 is no big deal to me. I've been here almost 20 years waiting for this, waiting. I know we have houses that could do this. I'm not asking for much. I'm asking for what Golden's doing. I would rather have this motion be that we give 6 months for staff to get it together and propose something to the Sustainability Board that says we would like to do something that deals with allowing laundry to go out to the lawn to water our trees. Now, I don't understand a lot of the costs related to this because we, the people, and we could do it for single-family homes, and what you want to do in a lot of these things is start small and keep building your code, right? That's what you want to do to grow it and find it. And council, we sat here 2 years ago, and one of our goals was to be bold. We didn't say, hey, let's wait for everybody else to do it, and then let's do it. No, we said, we want to be bold. So let's do it. Let's run a pilot program where we put this out. I don't think there's going to be a lot immediately, but I think it's going to increase and people are going to learn in Lafayette. And we are the right community to do it. And we're not asking for a whole lot. Just start with a single family home and then move from there. Get your data from us.
Thank you. So, Councilor Sampson, what I'm hearing from you is you would like to postpone any motion for tonight and have staff, or correct me if I'm wrong.
They could postpone the motion and rewrite it for 6 months to say, hey, we're going to postpone it. We're going to take this back to our Sustainability Board, present thoughts to them, have them come back to council and give us input. And at that point in 6 months, council could evaluate and decide, what do you want to do from here? But I think doing this in perpetuity, I mean, I've been hearing the same things. We're going to study the technology. Every year I keep hearing the same thing. And yet I get promised by staff outside of this meeting that they're going to come back with better information. And I'm sorry, but information from 2022, I keep feeling like there needs to be more. And I get this, there are so many, this Regulation 86 has gone through CDPHE. It's gone through a water board. So they've made some really thoughtful decisions on how you would do this. Yes, a permit would be required. It's part of the regulation. Yes, we could add in an inspection if we felt that was necessary. So there's already, in my mind, there are things, I'm doing this to my phone because that's what I was reading. There's already information that we know that health officials have already made decisions on in order to guide us through this.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Sampson. So I'm hearing from Councilor Sampson to we could postpone or table or whatever the right verbiage is this item, have staff look at it for, you mentioned 6 months, but I think, that can be flexible, right? To go back to our local boards, Sustainability Advisory Committee and other boards, as well as do some deeper dive into figuring out how to kind of refine the program, and then bring it back to council at a later date. And so I just wanted to see if folks on council wanted to respond to that, agreed, disagreed, wanted to build on the conversation or add more to the discussion that's being taking place right now? How do we feel? What are our thoughts?
I'm highly supportive of that. I was gonna vote no today on this, as it's currently designed. So I appreciate a compromise, a plan, an idea, leaning on our boards that are eager to do stuff like this for us. And you know, I forget exactly what I said in the climate action plan video that we did recently, but it was things like that: be bold, vision, drive. You know. And this is a great example of a way that we're gonna have to figure it out, but I think we're good at that. So I'm very supportive of the plan. I think it's a great plan. Thank you for proposing it.
Can I ask a clarifying question? 'Cause I think our options, and I could be mistaken, would be that if we choose not to do the opt-out for some period, we would need to have the ordinances and plans and programs and services in place by January 1st. So I think our options would be, I think you could amend this to have it sunset, or staff could agree to come back for the next number of months with options, or the direction I think would need to be to come back by the end of the year with the ordinances and services and programs for adoption so that we're okay on January 1st.
Could you do it by the end of the year?
I mean, I'll jump in. So I think that there's a reason why Aurora, Longmont, Westminster, Arvada, Boulder, Jefferson County have all gone this route to give them time. And this is why we have waited to try to see if they have come up with a model structure that we could not reinvent the wheel. So I would prefer that if we got some time and maybe sunsetted it, or whatever the legal term is, you know, we're getting through the end of the year, we're going to be onboarding new SRAB members come January. So if we're looking at like 6 months, really maybe like a 8-month or a 9 months, so we can get new members on board, new council members on board, so that, you know, this time in June, we could come back and have a further conversation about what some of our options are. That would be, again, my preference, just knowing that piece of it, just given the workload and the new council change. We have basically 2 more meetings before new council is on board, basically, to get that in place. And even then, it's 3 total meetings, unless you want to do kind of a 4th one in December.
And so could we
just throwing out options to compromise?
Sure. Could we do like a combination of both, right? Could we pass tonight with an amendment, or with the expectation that it would come back to us, that we could at a later date, whether it's 6 months, 8 to 12 months, whenever, but that we could refine it, make those edits after consulting with our boards, after seeing what other cities do, and then make those amendments later on? Like, is that what sort of, would that be, like, I'm just trying to find a compromise.
So what they're saying is that we have to opt out as of January 1st, and then give staff enough time. So what we want to do is, I can amend this right now and read it, you know me, I can think on the spot. So I could read this with an amendment that at the end of that, instead of the period, it would say for 9 months. And so all we would be doing is opting out for 9 months. And staff would have the direction, just as we were saying, come back with some options to the Sustainability Board, and then they can come back with staff to council.
And 9 months would be what, June or July?
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking with getting everyone new onboarded and, getting to the new members, so I would appreciate that time.
Does that seem
but
like enough time?
I mean,
More would be better.
Well, so we don't actually have a dedicated water conservation position even. So I think the trade-off is this will be diverting resources away from other things. And if that's the priority, we can certainly do that. But it does mean that other things we do in the water efficiency space will be deferred, so.
But I think that's, again, for the new council on the retreat, we can talk about what that means, kind of.
Yeah, because at the end of the 9 months as well, right? We could extend it for another 6 months if we need to.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? We're not saying it has to be done. If we run into the issues, then we run into the issue.
Why wouldn't we keep the resolution as it is? I mean, the resolution is going to the state, so all we're doing is complying with the state. If we want to come back and actually have something in 6 months, 9 months, we can just then switch back.
Because
opt-in.
for years I've been asking for it and I've got nothing from staff.
I hear you, but I'm hearing from staff that we don't have dedicated funds, we don't have the resources to do this. I don't want them to put a clock on them, on the resolution that we sent to the state. I would rather keep the resolution as is and then instruct TAF to maybe bring something forward at a later date.
Because if it is as is, I'm also voting no.
It's totally a fair point. I think it's just that it gives us that feedback mechanism, that time to say, in 9 months, we have to come back, have another conversation. Even if that conversation is, we got too many priorities. You know, we need to extend this for another year.
City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a suggestion for council. Before I make that suggestion, I just wanted to point out that nothing in this resolution or the state law that we are attempting to comply with by opting out prohibits the city from continuing to explore this or adopt regulations in the future. So I just want to state that first. There's nothing that, this does not stop us from in the future adopting gray water treatment works regulations. My suggestion for council to consider is amending, if this is the route you want to go, you could amend the resolution not to provide a sunset date on the resolution, because I'm not really sure how that would work once we send it to the state. I don't know that that would mean anything or do anything for purposes of compliance or for the state's purposes. However, you could either, as Councilor Tapia Vega suggested, direct staff to come back, or you could add a provision to the resolution directing staff to continue to explore this and come back with recommendations and options within 9 months of the date that you pass this resolution. So that would at least put it in the resolution. It memorializes the direction as opposed to only being memorialized in the minutes, for example. So I would, if you want something in the resolution, I would recommend going that route of adding a fourth section at the bottom of page 1. I have some proposed language if you're interested in that option. But I wanted to put that on the table for you to discuss.
Okay. So we could potentially put a date or a certain time frame, or we could keep it vague as well and say with the intention to, direct staff to come back at a later date, keep it open-ended.
Would you like to hear the language I
Yes.
Sure.
came up with? We'll see if this works and we can change this if council wants. So it would be a new section 4, and it would say the city council further directs staff to explore gray water treatment works regulations, if I'm using the right terminology, Director Arthur, and to report back to city council with options and recommendations within 9 months of the date of this resolution. Something along those lines.
You have in there 9 months. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'd like to hear from others. And remember the goal of the conversation. We want to get to a consensus here. So, how do others feel about what's been discussed so far? Councilor Tapia Vega?
Could I jump in? Sorry. So fully in agreement. I love that. To our city attorney, great job. I have a question that is completely unrelated. Sorry to bring it back to the actual presentation. Could you go back to the slide where you have the savings over and then the return on investment? So I see the top and I see that. What I'm really interested in is the bottom. So that bottom section, the actual gallons that are being saved for a household is actually pretty substantial. But then I see the cost benefit in terms of dollar figures. So that is not huge. And the 33 to 65 year return on investment, is that, do you think, the primary force for people not actually opting into this process? And then secondly, second part of the question, have you seen from all the programs that do exist, is there any city or any municipality that's subsidizing that upfront cost for customers?
I am not aware of those details. Again, this is third-party independent water efficiency nonprofit. So I do not know if any of these other communities have done upfront subsidies. I think that the challenge with the savings is it's, even in this scenario, this is a decent amount of use. This is a single family with 4 users that are doing a decent number of flushes, and the actual cost per gallon and the gallons saved, it is modest and it is a long ROI. So I don't know if it's that the ROI doesn't pencil because frankly water is still pretty cheap on a per gallon basis, or if it's people have different opinions about whether it's something they want to manage in their home.
And Councilor Tapia Vega, this would be something I would imagine we would bring back with that, staff analysis once we were doing that in whatever time frame you guys direct staff to bring it back is.
Yeah, absolutely. We would do more detailed analysis of other programs, and frankly, if other communities do adopt programs ahead of the deadline, that'll be another thing we can look at. As City Manager Dolling mentioned, we haven't seen a lot of the neighbors move forward with that, so we'd have to look at what's out there in terms of people that either had previous programs or adopted them ahead of the deadline.
Appreciate it. I had that question before the other discussion came up. I just wanted to get it out. Back to you. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, I just want to make sure I give everyone an opportunity to speak if they'd like to. Are there any thoughts from other counselors on what's been discussed so far? Or I'm happy to entertain a motion as well, but I want to give folks an opportunity to speak if they'd like. Councilor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. I can confirm that Councilor Sampson has been asking for this for 4 years. I was there, and I heard you, and just wanted to say yes. And I appreciate all the background on this, and I do feel like we don't have enough reason. I don't have enough reason to accept the resolution as it is. I would like to see it amended, and I would like to engage the experts that we have in our community, SRAB and any other groups, because there are a lot of questions. That bottom section is kind of mysterious to me, of that data. Yeah, those are data, but I don't know that that's not convincing enough to me that we shouldn't do it, especially in the light of water resource use, and it also gets an education to people to think about not flushing the toilet so many times maybe. So I would like to see something amended, and then we come back, definitely revisit this in 9 months, and I appreciate all my fellow councilors bringing all that forward to help me understand as well.
And when you say amended, are you in favor of what Councilor Sampson brought up and putting, or what the city attorney may have brought up by putting a specific timeline, 9 months, 10 months, 6 months?
I like what the city attorney, that language.
The proposed language from the city attorney, okay.
Can we use that as kind of the baseline right now?
Sure.
Is everybody comfortable using what the city attorney brought forward? Because if that's fine, I think that's fine. I think it gives the next council the opportunity to make determinations going forward. So I'm perfectly fine with that.
Okay. All right, any other questions, comments, stuff you'd like to bring up? Okay, well, I'm hearing from a consensus of amending the motion. It looks like, based off of that proposed question, that it looks like folks are supportive of our city attorney's suggestion. However, we still need to make a vote, so.
We need a motion.
We need to make a motion and then do a vote on that. And so, does someone feel prepared to do that?
Nicole is?
I'm sort of okay. I'm not sure I'm going to do all of your words exact. I'm happy to do it, I just don't have it.
Do you mind rereading
You
that?
can look to me to state it after you make your motion, but I have it all typed out now.
Okay, so what you're saying is I can make the first part of the motion and then say with staff.
You could say, so make the motion and then say with an amendment to add a new section 4 to read as follows, per the city attorney, and then I'll read it. Would that work?
Okay. Okay, I'm going to try to do that. I move to approve resolution number 2025-73, opting out of enacting gray water regulations and prohibiting the use of gray water and the installation of gray water treatment works with the amendment with a new section 4 that states.
That will state as follows. So it will say the city council further directs city staff to explore local gray water treatment works regulations and to report back to city council with options and recommendations within 9 months of the date of passage of this resolution.
Do you need a
As
so?
stated by our city attorney, correct?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Correct.
Okay.
Second.
All right, so that motion has been placed and has been seconded. Any further comments or discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, none opposed. That does pass unanimously. Thank you for that discussion and for that compromise. Appreciate that from both council and staff. All right, last item under under regular business is item N, Resolution 2025-61, supporting the City of Lafayette ballot issue 2C, funding recreation center improvements, a new civic center, and service center improvements. We have the Assistant to our City Manager, Alex Nelson, here.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. I have a very brief presentation for you tonight regarding Resolution Number 2025-61, considering a resolution of support for Lafayette ballot issue 2C. So as mentioned, a brief presentation, I'll talk through the background of the Capital Bond Initiative as well as the Fair Campaign Practices Act, and then turn it over for questions and proposed motion language. So as you'll recall, throughout the year, staff and council have been engaging in discussions regarding a capital bond initiative, and that began in January at your workshop with initial discussions of this proposal and some projects that were being considered. Staff returned at your February workshop to prioritize those projects with council, discuss financial analysis, and then scope polling and community engagement activities. Staff and consultant team then conducted the engagement and polling and then reported findings to you at your May workshop. And then over the summer, we came for a series of meetings to receive direction from council, report out, and continue work on the community outreach and education, ultimately culminating in your meeting on August 19th, where council certified ballot language in anticipation of the election next week. So as a reminder, the direction from council at that meeting was to move forward with 3 projects for this capital bond issue, which were the construction of a new civic center, renovation of the portion of the Bob Berger Recreation Center, and then expansion and renovation of this Parks and Public Works Service Center. That would all be done in one question, supported by a general obligation bond funded by a temporary property tax increase over 20 years. As you know, once that language was certified, the city is beholden to the Fair Campaign Practices Act, which does place restrictions on the use of public funds and city resources to engage in campaigning for or against a ballot issue and dispensing information in connection with local or statewide ballot issues. However, as the governing body, it does allow the city council to take a position on ballot issues through the passage of a resolution that would urge electors to vote for or against an issue. So the resolution was included in your packet this evening, supporting this ballot issue, and I'll turn it over for any questions. Otherwise, there's motion language on the screen.
Awesome, thank you so much. Yeah, as mentioned, this is a topic that we have been discussing for quite some time now, and now it's on the ballots, which has already been issued, so some folks have already voted, some have not. And so are there any comments, questions on this item? Yes, Councilor.
I'm struggling with this one because I feel like what we did was we put this out on the ballot, and I very much value the right of voters to make their decision on this without any undue influence at all. So I'm hesitant to try to vote to sway for any reason, because we support. And I do know that council is not unanimous in whether or not all 3 should be funded. So,
Sure.
I don't know, I mean, we have to do what we have to do, but I just thought I'd say, I'm a little uncomfortable with us as a council doing a motion to support, when really what I think we want is the public to decide on their own what works for them.
Sure, of course. That's fair and understandable. I'll just quickly say, it's important to be educated and informed, whether you are in support or against this this ballot initiative. Please take the opportunity to reach out to folks that are directly impacted by these, and I would say all of Lafayette residents are. If you may not visit the service center every day, or the city hall every day, or the rec center every day, but you do receive tremendous amount of benefits from those those facilities. As we've mentioned, our service center, that's where we have, if you ever need help from the fire department or an ambulance or our snow plows during the winter time, that's where those vehicles, our public works vehicles, our our Parks and Rec vehicles, our, all those city fleets, city vehicles are maintained. If you, need help from city staff that work here in this building, some folks haven't been past the main entry door, and so you haven't seen the whole thing. But it has, there's a lot to this building. And there could be opportunity for more. There's also, our rec center, our beloved rec center, Bob L. Berger. Shout out to the former mayor, Bob L. Berger Rec Center. Folks have spent time there, have noticed the pool closure on several occasions, have noticed, things going on, but at the same time as, I just wanted to, bring these items up because I want to make sure people are educated and informed on why the city feels the need to make these improvements. It's also important, as mentioned in several meetings, that these are large capital projects that have not had any updates, or significant updates in over 30 years. And in reality, projects like to this scale should be updated, every 10 or so years. So this council is just doing its best to provide that opportunity for the residents to make those necessary updates. And at the end of the day, as Councilor Sampson mentioned, if you feel like you've looked into this and you disagree, that is totally okay. And as she also mentioned, this council is not unanimous on this either. And so that's totally fair. The goal is just to make sure you are educated, informed before you make your vote. And I know there's folks advocating against this, which is fair as well. Make sure you reach out to them and hear their side as well. Hear all perspectives before you make your vote on any item. And so that being said, does anyone feel comfortable making a motion on this? Councilor Barnes.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-61, supporting City of Lafayette ballot issue 2C, funding rec center improvements, a new civic center and service center improvements.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no.
No.
Just want to make sure, Clerk Beck, you got that? Okay, so that motion passes 5-2. Thank you. All right. All right, we have to switch hats now and move towards and recess to the Board of Directors for Lafayette City Center, the Lafayette Tech Center, Exempla, and Lafayette Corporate Campus General Improvement Districts, and do a roll call. So we have to follow the same process as council. I think we've all been through this at least once or twice already. And so as council knows, we have to go through the process of roll call, calling to order, approving minutes, all that, public hearing. So we got 4 GIDs to get through tonight. Do we need to start with a roll call? Clerk Beck?
Yes.
Okay.
Director Barnes?
Here.
Director Friedland?
Here.
Director Gallegos?
Here.
Chair Monget?
Here.
Director Sampson?
Here.
Director Tapia Vega?
Here.
And Vice Chair Wong?
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. We have a CFO here to give us some background on some of these topics.
Yep, so we're here to approve the GIDs. So a general.
Actually, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm wondering if I should call the meeting to order prior to your presentation. And I believe,
Yeah.
I know you're giving are you giving background to all of the GIDs, or are you starting with the
I'm giving a little bit of background and then talking about the call to order, the approval minutes and process.
Thank you.
So I can do that and then you can.
That works better. Apologize.
No, you're great.
Thank you.
Okay, so some background. General improvement districts are created to finance infrastructure on land intended for development. City administers 4 GIDs. The GIDs are separate budgets from the city budget. And City Council is the ex officio board of director for each GID and must convene sessions for each to approve their respective budgets, which is what we're doing this evening. So we're going to call to order. So for each GID, call to order, approval of minutes, budget presentation, and then a public hearing with the budget resolutions, and then we'll adjourn and then go to the next GID budget. So City Center is our first one, and I would say probably at this point.
Awesome, yes. I will call to order the meeting of the Lafayette City Center General Improvement District.
Okay, so City Center is our first one here. So this is a motion to approve the minutes.
I move to approve the October 15th, 2024 minutes for the City Center General Improvement District meeting.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay. And then the 2026 budget for City Center, which was established in 1998. The debt was issued in 1999 and paid off in 2018. The condition of improvements is currently being assessed to determine if the GID should continue to operate. And the 2026 budget is a mill levy of .458 mills, which generates an assessment of a little over $6,000. And then we have the public hearing.
Okay, are there any members of the public that wish to speak on this project? Okay, and let me just double check that there aren't any online. Okay, seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public input.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-01, adopting a budget, making appropriations for the budget year 2026, and approving a mill levy for the City Center General Improvement District.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously.
All right, so we're on to the tech center here. That's the location.
So I'll adjourn the meeting of the Lafayette City Center General Improvement District, and I will call to order the meeting of the Lafayette Tech Center General Improvement District. And we'll take a motion for minutes.
I move to approve the October 15th, 2024 minutes for the Tech Center General Improvement District meeting.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you.
So the Tech Center 2026 budget, this was established in 1999. The debt was issued in 2006, which is scheduled to be paid in full in 2036. The balance remaining is a little over 1.2 million as of the end of this year. And then the 2026 budget, the mill levy is 15.697 mills. The debt service is $153,000 and the operating costs are $2,663. So that's the budget for the Tech Center. And then public hearing.
All right, this is a public hearing. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak on this item? Not seeing in person, not seeing any online, so I'll close public input. And sorry, I just didn't know if someone's about to stand. I'll close public input and we'll move on to council discussion and a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-01, adopting a budget, making appropriations for the budget year 2026, and approving a mill levy for the Tech Center General Improvement District.
Second. Sorry.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. None opposed. Okay. Thank you. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting of the Lafayette Tech Center. And I will call to order the meeting of the Exempla General Improvement District.
So this is Exempla. There's the location.
I move to approve the October 15th, 2024 minutes for the Exempla General Improvement District meeting.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you.
So the Exempla 2026 budget, established in 2002. The debt was issued in 2002, and that's been paid off in 2019. The condition of improvements, again, is being similar to the one previously that completed their debt, is being assessed to determine if the GID should continue to operate. The 2026 budget, the mill levy is .313 mills, which generates a little over $8,000 annually.
Okay, awesome. This is a public hearing. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none in person and seeing none online, I'll close public input. We'll take a motion, please.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-01, adopting a budget, making appropriations for the budget year 2026, and approving a mill levy for the Exempla General Improvement District.
Second.
All right, motion and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. None opposed. That passes unanimously. Great. So I will adjourn the meeting of the Exempla General Improvement District, and I will open up, final one here. This is opening, I'm calling to order the meeting of the Lafayette Corporate Campus General Improvement District.
Yep, so this is corporate campus. There's the minutes.
I move to approve the October 15th, 2024 minutes for the Corporate Campus General Improvement District meeting.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. None opposed. Passes unanimously.
Corporate campus 2026 budget. This was established in 2002, same year as the debt was issued, and that's scheduled to be paid in full in 2031. The balance remaining is $895,000 by the end of this year. This budget includes a mill levy of 12.230 mills, and the debt service is $227,000, and operating costs a little over $4,000 for corporate campus.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak on this topic? Not seeing any in person. I'm also not seeing any callers online, so I'll close public input. And we'll take a motion, please.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-01, adopting a budget, making appropriations for the budget year 2026, and approving a mill levy for the Corporate Campus General Improvement District.
Second.
All right, motion and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. None opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will adjourn the meeting of the Lafayette Corporate Campus General Improvement District, and we will reconvene as the Lafayette City Council. All right. That wraps up our business for tonight, and we will close with reports. Beginning with the City Attorney's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any reports this evening.
Some thank you. On to the City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. So a few things to note tonight. So as a reminder, our city facility has a ballot box drop-off at the Lafayette Library. It is open until 7 p.m. on November 4th, so please stop by if you need to mail or drop off your ballot, as I believe mail-in is probably too late at this point or iffy. So definitely just drop it by. It's nice and easy, and go check out a book while you're there. Also, residents enrolled in the Republic's 3-cart program, we have our annual leaf and branch pickups, so they can set out leaves, grass clipping, weeds, bundled tree branches on the curbside on the following dates. As a reminder, each household may place up to 20 bags of leaves and 5 bundles of shrubbery or tree limbs securely tied. So on November 1st, the south of South Boulder Road and east and west of Highway 287, you can see the map, also go online if this is too small, but November 8th, north of South Boulder Road and east of Highway 287, and then our last one on November 15th, which is west of 287 and north of South Boulder Road. And then we are pleased to host our kind of internal 3rd annual employee appreciation event. This will be on Wednesday, November 5th, and most, if not all, city facilities will be closed from 3 to 5 p.m. and we'll be getting messaging out on our website about that as well. This is where we unveil kind of our core championships and our Years of Service Award, and it's been really fun, hosted at Macy's every year. So we're looking forward to that internally. Looking ahead, want to note that our next Tuesday meeting is scheduled for Monday in observance of Election Day, so Monday, November 3rd. We're going to be doing a presentation on the 2026 Mental Health and Human Services funding recommendations for the next year. A presentation on the 701 concept park design, kind of updating where we've been over the past several months. A public hearing on the sketch plan process amendments. First reading of items pertaining to fees and purchasing. This is the ordinance that we've been talking about that kind of removes all of the fees in various sections, reestablishes a new chapter. That way we can have it all cleaned up moving into 2026. And then a motion to accept a Colorado 42 IGA with the city of Louisville. They are the funding agent of this larger project. Our project is from Highway 42, from Pascal and northward. And then November 18th, we'll have a presentation, like we noted, on the Parks, Recreation, and Golf fee philosophy update, first reading of our last and final 2025 budget supplemental, and then your newly established kind of annual board, commission, and committee appointments. That's all I have for tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, we'll wrap up tonight's meeting with council reports. Start down here, Councilor Tapia Vega.
No reports tonight, thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Sampson.
The Regional Homeless Working Group for Boulder County met, and this is the first time I've had a chance to get back to you all. They are looking at two different things. First of all, we have an ADU financing roundtable that will happen this Friday, October 31st, from 10 until 11:30 at the community room in Willoughby Corner. They're going to have a variety of lenders, CDFIs, CHAFA. They're basically financial people who are going to say, how are we going to help people understand how do you finance an ADU on your property? The working group has also decided that in each one of the communities, there should be something that information we need to get out and not just on a website. And there is the request to do, whether it's a fair, an ADU fair, or an informational event, maybe at a library, or something to that effect. This, I've told them this is not the time. November is not the time to do this, that it should be moving forward on that, but I don't know who will take my place on that committee in another few months, so I'm saying it out there to whomever is going to do that. Another really interesting thing, if you're interested in ADUs and the promotion of ADUs, there is a website called Launch Longmont, and that's got some great information on it, on ADUs. The second thing I was going to say is I don't know when we're going to talk about the EPIC grant.
going to bring it up.
Were you? Because I was going to say, I have just some general thoughts, so maybe you bring it up, but I you know, as somebody who works in grants at the state, I'm going to say what's being requested is that we're a fiscal agent, which means we actually take on the liability. So no matter what we do, we would have to be the ones that not only submit the application, we would be the ones that are in contact with the state, because that's the way it works. So we would receive it. We would be responsible for submitting reports ultimately. We would be responsible should anything not meet up to what we sign in that agreement. We, the city, would be responsible. So if it comes down, the granting agency gives to the grantee or the grant recipient, and then we have a sub-recipient. And so in that whole process, just know that from the state's perspective, the city is responsible. There are usually fiscal agents. There are groups that can serve as fiscal agents. It is true that you can take a percentage off the top in order to fund your administration of that. But again, you also take on all the responsibility of that grant and all the activities of that grant. So I think, I don't know if the city has a staff member or not, but I would say there's a lot of questions that I think we might need to delve into a little deeper. I'm not familiar with this grant, the CDPHE grant on this, but from a general perspective, just wanted to clarify what was being asked tonight.
Thank you. Councilor Friedland.
Yeah, well, let's start there.
Okay.
Okay, so my understanding of the request is the group Lafayette Communities That Care, they have a partnership with
Colorado Department.
Bridges of
Opportunity.
Yep.
And they've been doing lots of work generally, and previously had really strong relationship with Boulder County Public Health. That, some of that support fell away given what's going on with the county and their budget issues, challenges. And they were looking for a new fiscal agent to go to the state. And Sister Carmen was looking promising, from what I understand, but because of what's going on right now with food support and SNAP, Sister Carmen had to really say, we just need to be like hyper-focused on what's right ahead of us right now. And so that's why it's to us. And so, those are all really good points, and I probably agree with almost all of them in terms of challenges and things we need to explore with this. But sometimes the world doesn't go according to plan. And I think we're in one of those moments. And while I have a lot of hesitations and, concern about can we really do this? How do we do this? It seems like a really good group of folks that are doing really good work now and have a good idea of what they can do with this money. And while, all those things you said, Nicole, and I'm sure there's others too that make me hesitate. I would hate to lose that level of support for our community that currently exists and could be amplified. If we can step in and give them the framework so that they can go and do the good work. I'm interested in, I think, hearing what the rest of council thinks in terms of this, and what my kind of ask would be in terms of direction would be directing staff to look at this more, basically, right? And not necessarily committing us to this now, but saying, hey, let's see if we can do this. I know it's not ideal. I'm sure they agree it's not ideal. But sometimes we just need to step into the void that's been placed in front of us.
Great, thank you. I'd like our city attorney to weigh in, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and certainly, council, you should continue your discussion, but I did want to share just a couple of concerns. So it's my understanding that staff received the proposal today. We haven't had an opportunity to look at any of the background documents. We don't know about the program. We don't know the requirements that will be attached to the grant funds. And just in general, in a situation like this, we've been in similar partnerships in the past where we've provided, where we've been an applicant or a backbone organization for a grant program, but we've had time to review the underlying grant agreements. And in the case of a recent one I can think of, I was able to have the opportunity to insert terms that would protect the city from liability if there was negligence or default by the co-applicant. And we're not being given that opportunity here. And so I have concerns in terms of protecting the city, that we would at least need time to look at everything. And it sounds like we haven't been given a very long timeline here. In fact, I don't know for sure, but it sounds like they are looking for an answer this week. And just with workloads and how long these agreements tend to be and the program details, I am concerned about staff being able to take a diligent look, at the very least, at the underlying documents. So I would just like you to consider that. There needs to be legal review, and there needs to be staff review to make sure that we have the resources to be the backbone organization. There are, just from looking at the email, there are a lot of obligations on the city, and I just want to make sure that we're protected. And I'm not confident in that right now without having an opportunity to look at what's involved.
So I'm hearing hesitancy from Councilor Sampson. I'm hearing.
I want to clarify. I wasn't trying to be hesitant, other than I just feel like somebody give me 5 hours and I could probably get through all of this and give you a good summary. I feel bad because this is what I've been doing is, grants, but I can't even tell you, it might have federal regulations in it. If it does, that's a whole nother animal. I don't know enough. So
No,
I just don't want to make the
Sure.
decision immediate without knowing more information.
Of course, and I
Yeah.
apologize for
Sorry,
assuming that.
I'm not,
I'm
not opposed.
I guess what I meant to say is I'm hearing that folks would like to look into this more thoroughly. However, at the same time, I'm also hearing that there is a sense of urgency due to the organization needing a fiscal agent to be established by the end of the week or by Monday.
Oh.
And so I do understand that the organization is in a bit of a bind because they did have previous commitments, as they mentioned at public comment, with other organizations that fell through at the last minute, and that's why we're in this situation. City's sort of coming in as sort of a last minute potential support system in this. And so, but at the same time, I'm also hearing from Councilor Friedland that he would like at least staff to take some time to explore this in the next day or two to see what's possible and what's not.
Yeah, and could I ask a follow-up question to our city attorney? So in terms of, I think, I'm hearing you say, I think two things, that enough time to do our due diligence to review the RFA detail and the application detail. And also in whatever agreement we would have with the subcontractors, I don't know.
Subrecipient.
Subrecipients.
Definitely need to review that.
We would need to develop some sort of MOU or some sort of contract, some sort of agreement.
Yep.
That's
Well,
correct.
Yeah, usually we apply, we'd receive the funds, and then we'd write a contract with them.
And often, council, if I may add, we often we have council consider and approve a resolution before the application goes in stating that we are partnering. So that it's clear that, at least up front, we understand the role we have in the application as a co-applicant, if that's what it is. Again, I don't know enough about this grant program to even say what would need to be in the resolution tonight, but we typically have council take action that you, as the city, are committing the city to move forward with this process in case the grant is awarded, in which case additional council action would be needed. So this would just be a real departure from how we've handled partnerships like this in the past. And you do have a meeting on Monday. You have a regular meeting on Monday due to the election on Tuesday, but it sounds like maybe that's still not enough time for council to take action. And again, I'm only saying this from a perspective of ensuring that the city's adequately protected. And I just don't have enough information right now, and I haven't reviewed the documents to be able to say for sure that that it would be in the best interest of the city to take action this quickly on this program.
Understood, but just to clarify, in terms of the contract with the subrecipient, that could be done after an application was submitted?
I don't know because I don't know all the details of how the grant program is set up and what the requirements for applying are. Like if that already needed to be in place, I just don't know.
Understood, thank you.
So in addition to what our attorney had just brought up, I think council needs to make a decision if this is something that they would like staff to prioritize in the next day or two, which means, work on that and dig into the background, dig into the details, look into those requirements as a priority due to the urgency of the situation, or at the same time, do we feel like this is something that we can want to come back at a later date and discuss for an opportunity in the future? It's just a matter of that. And then in addition to that, we do have the issue with a potential resolution that council would need to pass based off the timing of our meeting, which, as mentioned, our next meeting would be on Monday evening. Yes, Councilor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. We haven't talked about extension of the deadline, and my experience is that because we haven't asked for an extension to the deadline, we don't know that that's possible for applying for this grant, knowing that we could be potentially the fiscal partner in this group. So I don't know that we can make all the decisions yet until we talk to CDPHE and see if we can get an extension on when the application needs to be submitted. I haven't heard anybody say that that's not a possibility yet. So I'm just putting that out there that also needs to be considered.
Yes.
And if staff looks into it, one of the things I'd like them to look into is can we get an extension on when the application's applied.
All right, so this is a council priority discussion. Is this something that council feels like they would like to prioritize over the next couple of days, or is this something that we can wait on, that you'd like to see us wait on? It's up to really council at this point, but keep in mind, what our attorneys, what our attorney mentioned as well, and then I want to make sure before we move forward with anything that staff is aware of the direction of council, and we can clarify anything as well that's needed. So would other members, I've heard from Councilor Sampson, I've heard from Councilor Friedland, would other members of the council like to weigh in on this topic? Councilor Gallegos.
So if it is possible to move forward with the legal review and staff review in the time before the application is due, I would like to move forward. They are backed by an established nonprofit organization. They were previously backed by the county, and Sister Carmen was also willing to back them up until needing to redirect their resources to food assistance.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Gallegos. Other members of council?
I would like to see this investigated, but I also understand that if we can't do diligence in proper review before the submission, I think one of the things we need to do is, as Councilor Gallegos said, we've had a long relationship with CTC. So I think our length of relationship, the entities they've been working with, I really feel like we should request an extension if that's a possibility. I don't know that we haven't, but I would like to have the staff look into what the landscape looks like for applying.
Okay.
And council, if I may respectfully suggest that perhaps a request for an extension be directed to communities that care, because again, we don't have enough information to even request an extension at this time. So I just think it would be again, this is perhaps a issue for the city manager, but I don't know that we have enough information to know how, whether, or when we would need to submit that. Just I'm working with little information tonight, but maybe they could give us head nods and let us know if that's something they could look into.
I'm wondering if it'd be appropriate to allow the group to just come up and clarify some of these things.
That's at council's discretion.
Okay, would one of you mind coming up just so we have all the information we need so we don't feel unprepared?
Is it okay for both of us?
Sure.
Yeah, so I didn't introduce myself earlier. I'm Andy McCullough. I live at 1319 Alexander Street. So just to, I think Councilor Friedland mentioned, I am the director of Bridges of Opportunity, which is fiscal sponsor. We do fiscal sponsors. Actually, we've managed a grant through the city this year. We're trying to figure out the best way to do this, and the reason why the language they use in this grant is backbone more than fiscal sponsor. And as they started to look at that, we've been incorporated as a nonprofit less than the time frame they've given. So this is a reimbursement-based grant. I don't know if that has any factor, so the money is not up front where you have the money and you have to give it back to the state or anything like that. It's based reimbursement-based.
Yeah.
But as we looked at it, we thought we need a backbone. We need an organization, more support, but also just the fidelity of that, given the fact that we're a new fiscal sponsor organization. So I don't know if that helps, but that's one of the reasons why. And I totally get all the questions you have. So I don't know the right answer, but I think our thought is how can we make this easier for the city? And so my role of having agreement as, I guess you put it, subcontractor. I've never used those terms yet. So, but just having a contract with the city where Bridges of Opportunity can take on usually what's the responsibility, of staffing to manage the grant, that we would do that work. But in a sense, the city would be like a pass-through of this grant. So I do think there's a lot of valid questions about the legality, what the city's taking on in that. So I appreciate that. So I don't know if we fully know the answer, but we're available. I know it's very timed, but whatever the time we can do is just sit down and look at the documents and talk it through. If that could be done, I don't know, everyone's scheduled tomorrow with the city manager and the attorney and just go, and then an answer be given, that could be an option, but.
You want me to ask a bunch of questions? Thank you on
Yes,
cost
thank you.
reimbursement, that's real
Yeah.
important. Do you have enough money to pay what you need to do and then get cost reimbursed?
Right, so the way they actually, we can request, was it 25%?
25% of the credit.
Of the annual can be given first.
That's called an advance pay. So you're asking
Advance
for a 25% advance pay of the grant.
Not from the city, but from the state.
No, that's the way it works. This, we'd have to ask. It doesn't matter what you're saying.
Right.
We are the fiscal agent.
Right.
So we'd have to ask, we'd get the money, and then you'd have to, and then we could give that to you.
Right, you take out the indirect on that, and then we would manage.
Actually, that's not how it works. You actually take the indirect out on your direct costs. You have to
Right.
charge it each time.
Right.
So are you expecting to pay people staffing on
Yes,
this?
yes.
Okay. Have you done time and effort before, reports?
Not to that extent.
Okay?
Yeah.
You're not planning to grant this out as well?
No.
So you're going to be the one that's going to pay whatever goods and services that you're getting for this?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And the
And it wa-
actual deadline of the grant is, a time, it sounds like it's Monday, it's sometime.
November Monday at 5
p.m.
5 p.m., okay.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, and we appreciate the consideration.
Yeah, I
It's-
think that's kind of.
It is a really tough situation to be in, and sorry to put you all into this situation as well.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we want to make this process, if considered by council, as minimal of a burden to the city, because as part of the work, I've been a part of the work since 2016, since I was a youth member. Now that I've been in this leadership role for the last 2 years, I've seen how the grant works. I've truly dealt with every piece of the grant, so I feel very confident in my ability to execute these pieces in my role as a community mobilizer, as the state calls it. And then we've had this coalition since 2016. A lot of the members, including Andy, and some of the members that you see here tonight, have been a part of the coalition since 2016 as well. So we fully understand what is being asked of us from the state. So we're more than confident to be able to execute all these pieces with fidelity and yeah, to the dot.
Yeah, go ahead.
And so the elements of the grant that you're looking for our support with are, you've done previously with Boulder County as the backbone.
Yes.
And so this is sort of an evolution, right? Epic is the new name and all this.
Yeah.
And they're focusing on, are they focusing on different things in this next 5-year cycle, or is it it's very similar to what you've done before, or different?
They are doing something different this year, or for the next 5 years, which is actually the coolest part of the whole thing, is they're actually wanting us to implement programming. And for the last 10 years, our coalition has been itching to do some programming. Because oftentimes, just the theoretical work in the community, yes, it's good work, but as community members living and studying and working in Lafayette, we know what the needs are and we want to be able to get to it. So that is the biggest difference that we'll be able to do now. And our structure lays out a partnership between Espacios para Jóvenes and the family, sorry, I'm spacing on the name.
We have to follow certain
Strength-
guidelines.
Yeah.
So there's a strength and family guide. They have to be like blueprint guidelines that they offer. So Espacios para Jóvenes, I think you might know, that's the city focus that was funded. It's always been funded. And we've gotten other grants since, but through the city, 3 years of running this program. So what we want to do is take that evidence-based program and kind of actually beef it up and serve the city, the families and youth that are in that program.
And the program is called Strengthening Families Program.
Yeah.
And this is a vetted program by the state that we've selected as best fit with our coalition's mission and values.
And there's a geographic component to it as well, right? The state is considering things based on counties.
Yeah.
Have we been identified as a region that would be favored, prioritized?
So Boulder County wasn't identified,
Okay.
but it is likely that there's going to be an award given in this geographical area. It's just not a priority area as they've noted for other regions.
And do we know of any other applications that are going in our geographic area that might be competitive for us?
Yes, Boulder County Public Health will be applying as well. So again, there's no guarantee. This is going to be a very competitive grant. There's no guarantee that we would get it, but we do believe that with the decade almost of the work that we've done, we have a really good shot at this. All we need is the support of a backbone. And
Yeah.
the reality is that we have such a strong team. Everybody that you see here tonight and people that you don't see here tonight that are a part of this coalition, they all live, work, or go to school in Lafayette. These are all youth, adult members that they care about this work. That's why they're a part of it. And that's what we've been able to run strong for the last 10 years.
One other idea I want to just mention, and I think we would need to research this, the possibility would, even though the grant's a 5-year, and I feel like that's a big commitment on the city, and but to actually in our agreement to have it a year-to-year re-up. And I believe, based on other grants that I've even managed through the state, that fiscal sponsors can change. Yes, I actually had a change with it was the disability fund with the state. We were the fiscal sponsor for a grant and of a partner that our relationship mutually decided not to end. And the state said, yes, common practice to change fiscal sponsors. So that was someone who offered the grant, the grantee from the state told me that. So it in a sense, we changed the fiscal sponsor originally for the City Focus Grant with someone else. And we changed working with Katie on that. Bridges of Opportunity. So again, we would have to research that, but my thought would be if the city didn't feel comfortable that if the state allows that we could kind of research a different backbone if we came to that. That was kind of my thought and some of the agreement down there. But again, it would have to be researched.
Okay. And to the indirect pieces, if the direct cost does get applied for the entirety of the grant, it would be around $300,000 coming to the city for that administrative fee over the course of those 5 years.
Okay.
So that,
yes, City Attorney.
Mayor, may I ask these folks a question?
Yeah.
And maybe Councilor Sampson knows more about this, for sure knows more about this than I do, so I'm going to reveal what I don't know here. But is there a reason why you all can't, why CTC and Bridges of Opportunity cannot apply for this grant without having the city as a co-applicant?
We could. I think the point system that they give, because I looked at the questions they ask for the backbone, we would score very low because of our experience and the finances we have on hand. Even though they give an advance, we have in the bank like $70,000. So there's, it's kind of that fiscal backing that they want to be assured of, that we would score really low on that. So, and our thinking was also, as we looked at Sister Carmen and others, the backbone of being trying not to create staff, but the support of saying, okay, we're gaining just the credibility, of saying, okay, we have this backing of a backbone with the work that we do. And my thinking is that we would, without creating more work, but just kind of think through what the city is wanting to do. And so we're so more closely connected than another organization that you're kind of hoping they would align with city council's objectives. That was kind of our thinking too. But yeah, it's a good question.
and that's actually, it's a great question because that's one of the key components to what we're asking of city council. It is to be able to complete that financial risk assessment that CDPHE does require for this application. And again, as Andy mentioned, that was a reason for us as a group realizing we would score pretty low on that assessment. Yeah, so. Unfortunately, we were really banking on public health originally as our current fiscal sponsor. Public health unfortunately just told us that they had to drop us as a program due to their own funding insecurities. Later for us to find out that they're also applying for the same grant. So, yeah. Again, we really hate putting you in this position, but we wouldn't be here if we didn't truly believe in this work and know that we can make this happen.
Thank you.
And I totally understand what y'all have to decide. So I don't want you to feel pressured. I mean, I kind of believe in this program. If we can't get this grant, even if we had your backbone, it doesn't guarantee we'll get the grant. We're going to continue to look for other funding and other grants to continue the work.
Awesome. Okay. Other comments, at least for these guys here? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Great. All right, so I do think we'd like to come to some sort of consensus on where to move forward from here. Obviously, you know, this isn't an easy decision, lots of considerations to weigh. Would anyone like to bring anything up, their opinions, thoughts, and where to go from here?
Well, we have to identify more about this grant, especially if it has federal funds. Based on the questions I've got, you know, that were answered tonight, I'm going to just tell you, if you don't have somebody, if you don't have me do it, I don't know, who has the knowledge of doing the federal funds, it can get really, you can get in a lot of trouble, not just, hey, you screwed up, so be it. So that's what I'm trying to figure out in here is where are the issues that, you know, we need to be aware of, so.
Well, we could, you know, potentially, if we choose to move forward with this, we could, it's tight. I mean, obviously, you don't want to like direct staff, hey, drop everything, focus on this now, right? That's something we have to consider as well. But if we do, with the timeline, right, if we do direct staff to prioritize this, you know, a member of council can also serve as a part of those discussions, but that's, you know, you have a job as well. And so just to be a part of that, just to make sure we have everyone in place that's needed to make sure we understand all the requirements, whether that's federal level or state level.
Yeah.
But we still need a consensus to give direction. At the end of the day, the council is the decision-making body, right? And so we can give direction whether to prioritize or to not prioritize this, but we do need a consensus ultimately. So like I said, I've heard from a couple counselors. I haven't heard from everybody on where they're at.
And Mayor, if I may, just give council some advice. I do think it's necessary that council, if it does wish to make a decision, that you do need to take formal action, and this isn't on our agenda tonight for formal action, but I do think you need to take formal action to decide whether this is a partnership and grant application you want to proceed with, which again, in the past, we've done by resolution. And you might need to call a special meeting, and we would need time again for council to understand what the city is applying for and what would happen if it's awarded.
Could council give direction to explore it further with the group, understand all the requirements, and then I think staff would communicate back to us on those updates and where we are to determine if that's even needed, that step of meeting and having resolution passed? Like when we do a resolution, right? We're not. That's sort of like almost like it is a commitment, but is that like necessary? Right?
Necessary prior to the application submission.
Say that again.
Is a resolution necessary, and is it necessary prior to the application submission?
Once you submit an application, you're committing the city to follow through if the grant is awarded. And again, I'm in a position just as your attorney that I don't know what you're going to be required to follow through on. So I'm uncomfortable with it, but the resolution would express that we understand we're applying and that we are willing to accept the responsibilities and obligations that may be placed on the city if the grant is awarded. If in any event, I do think an informed decision by council would be needed in a public meeting, ideally with notice to the public. I am a little bit concerned about this coming to council tonight for a very major commitment with no public notice on whether you want to proceed with a major grant application. That's not to say that you can't reach consensus on items during a meeting without an item on the agenda, but this would require us to make a legal commitment that we are going to follow through if the grant is awarded. And that's where we've used a resolution to document that in the past. It could be a motion, it could be something else, but yeah, I do believe formal action on something of this scope and commitment is necessary.
Sorry to interrupt. A special
problem.
meeting needs to be noticed 24 hours in advance, right?
Correct.
And so
Don't do it on Halloween.
the timing seems untenable. I mean, without us jumping through a lot of hoops scheduling wise and staff, and that's even just assuming, right, that we get the application, first thing tomorrow, staff reviews it over the day and then says, yeah, we could probably do it. And then we publicly notice on Thursday and have a meeting on Friday.
On Halloween.
On Halloween.
I'd rather do Saturday if I had to. We'll be trick or treating.
So just to provide my thinking as we're going through this, I mean, this is a great community asset we have that will continue, and this is a great way to amplify them. It's really unfortunate that our partners at the county dropped this, thing that would have really helped us as a community without any notice or handoff or partnership. But, the timing is hard, right?
Right.
So I don't know. I want us to be able to, especially in times like we're in right now, I want us to be able to fill the gaps, right? I know we all feel that way. But I think we need enough time to work together to do this in the right way. Because I think we're also talking about some level of substance abuse work, right, through the grant. And, a lot can go wrong with that. And if we're the backbone, at the end of the day, we would take that responsibility really seriously, as I know the, applicants would too. So
I did have
stuff.
I did have a follow-up question. Would you mind coming up again, Andy, Iggy, just one final time, just to clarify, and then I think it'll give us easier direction for tonight. If this deadline, right, in this Monday 5 p.m. deadline that you need for this particular grant, if we're not able to come in because of the tight turnaround and support you on that, if in the future, are there other grant opportunities where we could reconsider this with given more time and preparation? Like in the next, doesn't have to be a year from now or less than a year.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think that's definitely a possibility. And also I was thinking with Councilor Barnes, would that be a good option that we just ask tomorrow, CDPHE, if there's given our circumstances, we can extend the deadline and we could even state a date based on what y'all said, if y'all wanted to do that.
We actually have what they call a state coach, which I meet with regularly. This is the person who oversees our specific grant allocated to our geographic area. As soon as I get home tonight, that's gonna be the first thing I do is send them an email and say, hey, we might need an extension. So if that's the case, is that something that?
We might need an extension anyway, even if y'all didn't, because we're kind of in a tight situation ourselves.
So would that be something that we could address with y'all if we did get an extension from the state? Continue to have discussions on it?
I think I'm not your business consultant or whatever. I think it's something that you should consider regardless, is looking to give yourself some more opportunity to find something stable and consistent. It's because as you've heard, it is a tight situation for us, and it's not something that we're outright saying we're opposed to or against, but just based off the circumstances at the time, it doesn't seem like we even have, it's even possible for us to support something like this. But that doesn't mean that, given more time, given more leeway, given more preparation, it's that the city would be opposed to down the road.
Can I ask this? This is a little bit, let's say we realize, okay, we're just going to put Bridges of Opportunity and we know we score low. One of the things they ask for are letters of recommendation from the city. So Sister Carmen, even though they can't be our backbone, Suzanne Crawford said, I'll gladly write a letter of recommendation. Could we have city council write a statement that we can put in our application of just the support that you have for it. It's not you're becoming a backbone, but that you fully support this work, and maybe you can speak personally about it. I mean, several of you have. I mean, that would go a long way too in that situation, because I kind of realized this timing and just seeing that this is not what we came Hail Mary, pass is not going to work. So I think that would be very beneficial to us in the process.
Right.
I think it's a question for staff on time, because a letter of support. I don't know
Would
how-
still need to be by Monday, unless we got an extension.
Well, right,
Yeah.
that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if, that's a question for staff, on whether or not they could do a letter of support by that time frame. I mean, there's some standard ones that I have for housing, but
Yeah, at your direction, we would make that a priority.
Okay.
I think provided we get the grant application like as soon as possible, right? Yeah, so they can
Council.
see it, and so council can see it and make sure that we
Oh, yeah.
understand what you're doing.
Yeah, that's a good point, because even to recommend it, even if you're not a backbone, to really understand, yes, we can do that.
Okay. So it sounds like, as of now, I mean, I think you all should consider that extension of that deadline. I think you should, keep us in the loop on, progress made with that.
Okay.
And then, sounds like this council is supportive of at least a letter of recommendation that supports your initiative and supports funding and support for your initiative. But outside of that, at this point, it's something that you could come back to us at a later date with more, like I said, more of a runway, so we can prepare for that.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for your time tonight. Seriously, it's been a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
And we still have work going until June 2026. So our coalition is still in Lafayette.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'll be reaching out to all of you because our youth members want to be able to chat about some initiatives. So I'll keep you posted on that. But thank you so much for your time tonight.
Yeah,
course.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Back to our regularly scheduled program.
Yeah. Did you have any
Me
more?
talking about boards and commissions.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to, and maybe Counselor Barnes is going to mention this too, but we had a really successful 2 sessions of talking to the chairs of our boards and commissions. There's more to come on that and all that, but I just wanted to say thank you to staff for making that happen. It was a really good couple of sessions, and just really appreciate it. And I'm excited for those conversations to keep going and the things that came out of that in terms of next steps and all that. So just want to say thanks and really appreciated that hard work. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mayor Pro Tem.
Just a quick update regarding minimum wage, because I know this is part of the consortium of cities. So Boulder County commissioners have moved to amend their minimum wage change to a one-time increase to match the city of Boulder's. So that would make their minimum wage on January 1, 2026, $16.82, and then it would be matched to the CPI thereafter, and not going as far as the increases to 2030. So that is now going, that was a 2-to-1 decision to direct their staff to go ahead and make that change. Similarly, Longmont City Council thinks that there would be conversation more at a regional level, and so they're not looking to make any moves in this year for 2026, but they'd be interested, depending on what the county does move forward with, to have further conversations. So I just wanted to bring that update to the City Council. In addition, I've also sent out the last October Board of Directors information from Dr. Cog. We've concluded our in-person meetings, but we'll have November remote meetings, so that's going on there. And I think that's it for tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
So thank you.
Oh, one last thing. Sorry, and this is Northwest 36th Community Solutions. I am sending out a sponsorship form for the ability to either sponsor a number of Community Solutions events, or I know former Councilor Walton had asked if we were interested in sponsoring a table, which is around $1,000 at the legislative update in January. but there's also the opportunity of being a platinum sponsor for $4,000. I've sent that out to all of you, and I'll look for bringing it back at the next meeting to see what people's interest is, if at any. So that will be coming out as well.
Yes, so that email has already been issued, so please respond to that if you have not, to see what kind of commitment, if any, we want to make to that event. And then, do you mind just resending it?
Yeah, I'm going to do it right now.
Thank you.
Float it up at the top.
Okay, Councilor Gallegos.
Nothing from me tonight.
Councilor Barnes.
Oh, wow. Just like to have a moment of silence for the people of Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean.
Oh.
Thank you all. One of the most powerful hurricanes in U.S. history just plowing across the Caribbean, coming in to the coast of Jamaica with 150 to 175 mile an hour winds for 3 hours, 50 miles wide. So I'm not sure what the impact of that is going to be, but it is a humanitarian crisis already. So thank you for noticing that happen and giving some time for that. It's an odd transition, but I'm wearing a shirt about Super Science Saturday. So I work with people who believe in science. They've done it for their lives, and they're continuing to provide the support necessary. This is one of the groups that hopefully will make an impact on maybe better warnings, but this is a free open house event. Starts at 10 a.m., goes until 4 p.m., and it's at the NCAR Mesa Laboratory, right up Table Mesa. Just get on or South Boulder Road, just keep going until it ends. You'll be in the parking lot. And there'll be lots of activities for the whole family, food, fun, and I'll be there. So come ask me questions about Lafayette while you're there. We did talk about our proclamation tonight, recognizing people who go the extra mile. Our boards and commissions are going the extra mile, and as Councilor Friedland said, it was an amazing meeting. I think it was beneficial for not just David and I, but also for the chairs of the boards, and I hope our deputy director also was really happy to be there, because I know it's an awful lot of work, so thank you so much for making that happen. And I think what we're doing with the boards and commissions, organizing it, will daylight a lot of what the process is, so more of our residents will be interested in joining the boards and commissions, and are looking to provide more input for those boards and commissions so they can help us with what we need. And I think a little bit of that bubbled up tonight. I think that's all. Something will hit me, I know, but I think that's all I have right now. Thank you, Mayor.
Of course, thank you. And for me, just a few items. As you all know, there is as required by our charter, the city council has to appoint 3 members of the council to conduct planning commission interviews and appoint. This year we have, I believe, 2 vacancies, so appoint 2 new members to the planning commission. And so I did reach out to you all independently, and I did hear back from councilors Tapia Vega, Friedland, and Gallegos that they are interested in conducting these interviews, and then to come back to the full council at a later date to make their recommendation. So I just want to make sure that we're okay with those 3 councilors representing us, or representing the council for these interviews, and wanted to make sure that there wasn't anyone else that was really eager to be involved with this. Okay. All right, so to confirm, Councilor Tapia Vega, Councilor Friedland, and Councilor Gallegos will be conducting those planning commission interviews. Great. All right, on to the next item. So we, as you've heard and seen, folks have come to us on various occasions requesting funding. We had multiple discussions regarding our contingency fund. We did allocate, originally it was set $50,000. We did allocate a good chunk of that towards travel budget for conferences and things like that. However, we do still have a remaining, I believe, 21,000 left for the year. And so we've had a few groups that reach out to us to see if, we'd be interested in supporting events like, as you mentioned, former Councilor Walton, with the table requests. And we did also receive a request for funding to support Centaurus's Palms team for their events, their competition in Florida this year, which is something we have supported in the past. And we have also just like requests ongoing. So I think the process that we established was there were certain programs, I think like Centaurus and on Peak to Peaks after prom that we would be supporting. So those have already been earmarked. However, the rest of it, I think the process that we established is that we bring it up first here as a council member, and we give folks time to think about their request. And then at our next meeting, we make a decision on if we want to allocate those funds to that program or to that event that we're sponsoring. So I believe that's the process we established. Correct? Yes. I just want to make sure.
I don't remember that. I remember talking about some criteria for which we'd evaluate, such as we need, emergency was one. How many Lafayette residents, what's the impact for Lafayette residents? Maybe not how many, but what is the impact overall? Are we serving 5 people? Are we serving a greater group? Like, is it open to all?
Right.
And is it fair?
I remember we said we were going to establish that. I think someone was supposed to, we were supposed to create like a form or an application in a way, and then, or like for the public could fill out to identify that, if that criteria is being met prior to us discussing it. But I don't know if that ever took place. I think what we had decided is that, and maybe city staff can weigh in here, is we had decided that it would be, we would give council a heads up so that you were aware and that we could come back.
That is true. I do remember
Is that, okay.
Yeah, when we looked back at the minute notes, you had a very robust conversation, so that
Yes.
is true about
Yes.
all of that. And I believe the notes reflected that at the end of the day, you were going to follow just kind of a similar process where you each evaluated on kind of your own philosophy of what this Monday should be used for. And I would like to make a small correction. If you could repeat the number, you said 21,000. That was your original budget with the plaque and our MMA
Okay.
attorney. I believe you're down to, I can't read my small handwriting on your sticky note, but it's
6,400.
6,400.
I
remaining for this year.
apologize. Yes.
A little bit
And
different
does
size.
that doesn't, did we already do the after proms?
Yes, that is a separate bucket from the 21,000.
So
We did move that out.
So 6,400 left for the rest of the year, which we're in November now, almost. So that has not been dedicated. Okay, and then we do have the consideration already on the table for commuting solutions, which was the range for that, 1,000?
1,070 for the table at the legislative breakfast,
Okay,
up to
so-
like 4,000.
So at our next
Wanna do that?
meeting, Mayor Pro Tem Wong is going to bring that issue up on whether we want to commit that $1,000 so that could potentially be used. I also wanted to, at least for consideration, bring up the student group that did present to us, which was the Centaurus Palms team, to support their trip to Florida, and just as a consideration, right? And so I will bring that request for $1,000 to support them and their trip at our next meeting, to give you a heads up. And so that would also give me and the rest of council time to identify, exactly where that money is going. And then the possibility of using some of those remaining funds as well to further establish, to fully establish our sister city program, which I will come back to council as well. And I know, and this is just like, this is not going to be an annual thing. It's just, I want to bring this up because I feel like this is just for the initial process. of fully solidifying our sister city with Iquitos, Peru, which, by the way, is voting on their resolution on November 4th, their next council meeting to officialize. I know we already voted on our end, they're voting on it on their end. And then there is sort of a official signing ceremony, and just to make sure we have everything prepared and ready for that. I may be coming back to council next week as well. I know it's a lot, 3 things in one meeting, but we do not need to support all of these initiatives. This is just something I'm giving council a heads up on so that we can look at and bring back. So I may request or see if council's open to contributing some of those remaining 6,400 to that establishing the sister city program. So that, even with those requests, that will still leave us with some remaining contingency as well. This could be the first time and since I've been on council where council has used the full contingency. So I'm not saying, I'm just giving you all a heads up that I may be coming back with those items next week. Yes, guys.
So for those, I think we have enough information on the first one, the commuting solutions, of what that would be.
Yes.
Will we get additional information on the other two of what?
I will send detailed emails and phone calls or whatever's needed over the next couple of days.
An email's fine, thank you.
Okay. I'll come to your house.
Okay.
He's gonna trick or treat on
Yeah.
Friday night.
Sit on your porch.
Okay, and to wrap up tonight, I just wanted to make an announcement as well. As you all have seen or read in the paper or heard, I am not pursuing re-election here as mayor for the city of Lafayette. Lots of different reasons, but for some reason, a lot of people fail to just call me directly and ask me. I mean, you can totally just do that. That's a lot easier than speculating and assuming things. And I don't need to get too much into it. I still have 3 more meetings left after this, so I'm happy to speak more. But it's, a lot of different reasons factored into that decision. One of those is my 30th birthday came in August, and I looked back and I was like, dang, I spent my entire 20s at City Hall, like at night, on Tuesdays and stuff. And so it's just like, those people that actually know me, people that don't just watch these meetings and see me on the dais or watch from home, people that that get to know me, my actual friends and family, they know that I'm a very reflective person and very big picture thinker. I make sure that anytime I am prioritizing something in my life, it's for a big reason, and I don't dwell on like little things. I look at things like, from that big picture lens, and I've realized, there's a lot of things in life that like are more important to me that I want to spend more time on, my friends and family specifically. I also realized that, we talk about like, we go to these, some folks may go to like these no kings marches, right? And we see a lot of folks in politics trying to consolidate power and take it from themselves. And I do feel like it's important to give other people the opportunity. Like, chances are one of the people sitting next to me tonight will probably be the next mayor of the city, and I think that's great. I don't think we should sit there and interfere, prevent that from happening. There's no fault in someone sharing the same dream as you, and you shouldn't sit there and be an obstacle in their way. And so, I have a lot more to say, but just know it's primarily on good terms why I'm making that decision, and it's that big picture thinking of what's truly important in my life and what can wait. And so, I love this job. It's a great job, but whoever is the next mayor will quickly realize, it's not an easy job, and I'm sure a lot of you already know that. But regardless, I'm happy for whoever does fill that position. I genuinely am, and I hope that I will do everything in my power to make sure you are set up for success, and that you have all the information you need, and that it is a smooth transition, and that we are there to support one another in these positions and not there to see each other fail.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, meeting adjourned, actually not meeting adjourned. I will actually make a motion now to adjourn to executive session pursuant to sections 24-6-4024B of the Colorado Revised Statutes for the purposes of receiving legal advice from the city attorney's office on specific legal questions regarding the terms and conditions of contracts pertaining to the operation and use of certain city facilities. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. The city council will adjourn to executive session and will not return into an open meeting. The time is now 8:40 PM.
It's like church.